Rochester, New York. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Hello.
Hey, hello, Rochester.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I am very well, thanks.
Good. I caught you when you came up here with WHAM at one of the leading banks in Rochester.
Yeah, we went to the Big E, a couple of banks, I recall.
Yes, and I almost had lunch with you. When they drew the names out, my mother and father-in-law, who I had enticed to come to your program, won the lunch with you.
Is that right?
That's right.
Well, you got close, huh?
Good.
Things that people will do for a free lunch. Even put up with me. What's on your mind?
Okay, what's on my mind? I want to rent my primary residence for 1 week.
Why?
Why? There's a very, very large golf tournament coming into the area, some 50,000 people.
Oh,
I have a house that's accessible.
Profiteering coming up here. All right. Is there a demand for? Are the local facilities going to be overextended?
They're overbooked now, Bruce. They're staying 90 miles in one direction and probably 75 in another.
I mean, you probably want to find the press, right?
Well, either the press or a family from Ohio, Pennsylvania, who might be interested in moving into the area for the whole week. And
chances are you do better with a corporation than you would the family.
Okay. So call the leading corporation.
I would call the leading media. I call ABC, NBC, CBS, CCN.
Oh, I see what you mean.
C-SPAN. Not C-SPAN. ESPN. And say I've got a house. This is where it's located, and so on and so forth. It's available for a week for this many dollars. If you're interested, please call.
That sounds interesting. I have a question for you, though. Now, how do I rate something like this?
Well, that's another. As much as you can grab, obviously. I don't know what the going rates. I have no way of knowing that. Ask around.
Haven't you done this probably someplace along the Jersey coast? Have you rented anything of your own?
Of course I have, but not for a week and not for a sporting event.
All right, then it would be very difficult.
This is a very atypical situation.
Exactly.
All right, so I don't know what the going rate is, how desperate people are. I don't think you're going to find a family, but frequently the media, who have to be there, will pay whatever they've got to pay to get there. I don't know how desperate things are. You're telling me people are 90 miles away. In all deference to you, that makes great reporting, but if you find one family 90 miles away, suddenly everybody's living 90 miles away. I doubt that's the case.
All right, if
50,000 people do not have to go 90 miles from Rochester to get a hotel room. There's just more hotel rooms than that around.
Well, there's not enough in the city to accommodate.
But in the city is one thing. You just told me 90 miles, man.
Right.
What is I don't know how, if you drew a compass arc around Rochester, well, first of all, you'd be out in the water for a big chunk of that 90
right.
miles.
The north part you would be, you're right.
But even without regard to that, you're going to have several hundred square miles in there. I got to believe there are more than 50,000 hotel, motel rooms in that arc. So I think that the 90 miles is a tad exaggerated. I don't mean you did it deliberately, but I think that's
okay.
Exaggeration.
Assuming that we get hooked up with somebody, do you ask for 50% of the weekly rate ahead of time and as a deposit? Or
no, I get it all.
All?
All.
How about security?
This is a one-shotter, isn't it?
You got it. Okay.
I get it all.
Bruce, how about the fact that damage or anything? Do you have anything signed?
Well, of course you do, and you got to get a deposit to cover that. Put a deposit with an attorney. I mean, you don't think these guys are going to be real careful with your Limoges, do you?
Well, my problem is the media might be less careful than a family.
Yeah, but how many? I mean, look, let's get real.
Okay.
What kind of? This is what a golf event?
Yes.
How many families are going to come to a golf event?
Well,
you can count them on one hand.
Okay, I read.
There are spectators and whatever, but if it's as big as you're describing it, the only kind of people who are going to rent from you, and only because of your proximity to the event, are in all likelihood are media people or corporate sponsors or whatever. Now, are they going to take good care of your place? There are a few of us who have been known to have a drink or two. I know it's going to come as a big shock. And every once in a while, I mean, not me, of course, but I have somebody about 2.5 feet to my right who has had a drink or two when he's on, and sometimes they even tend to get a little rowdy.
Okay. One more question for you, as far as in case it doesn't work with the media. Would you think an ad in the local paper would be any beneficial, whereby somebody in the area would pick it up and pass it on to their either relatives?
Well, let me ask you this: what do you got to lose?
Exactly.
Well, then do it.
All right.
I wish you well, kid. Say hello to your folks for me. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Particularly, nicotine is in my opinion, is as addictive a narcotic as some other heavy-duty stuff people have been getting into. And unfortunately, it is a ubiquitous, right outside the door here, we got a cigarette machine. $1.90 a pack, but nonetheless, it's a cigarette machine. It's a little harder to find a crack machine. Not much harder in some neighborhoods, but it's harder to find one. I was taking a great deal for a long time, Demerol. I smashed up pretty good, and a Demerol, I think it's Viscerol that keeps it in your system for a while. But let's face it, you can't walk up to a friend and say, hey, give me a shot of Demerol. It was easier to get off that. But nicotine, you look around the room, the people with cigarettes, machines, the supermarket, the drugstore, it's a tough thing to kick. It really is. Cleveland, Ohio. Hello there.
Good evening, Bruce. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
And I want to thank you for the show that you put on.
Well, thank you very much.
And I have a question for you here.
All right.
I guess I'm lucky, but I may not be.
I guess I'm lucky, but I may not be.
Well, I'm not sure what the situation is. I had the experience of being in the hospital a few months ago.
All right. And you have to raise your voice just a little bit.
I had the experience of being in the hospital a few months ago.
Gotcha.
And my current health insurance paid a part of that.
All
the
right.
part they didn't pay, the hospital billed to a former health insurance carrier that I had. And the former one paid it.
How former a company was it?
12 months.
I
mean, I hadn't had a policy with them in about a year.
So clearly they were not on the risk.
That is true.
All right.
And I don't feel like putting the effort forth to tell them. They're just a major health bureaucracy.
Well, the likelihood is you won't get any thanks from them if you do. I don't think there's much question about that.
I mean, I wouldn't mind doing it if it was easy to do. But I have never had an easy dealing with them in the 15 years before.
Well, if you're looking to kind of clear your conscience, aren't you?
Actually, I'm looking to find out what I might be liable for if I don't bother to tell them.
Oh, I think that if they come back and find out they did it in error, they'll come back and ask you for the money back.
Does it matter how long?
I suspect, and I don't know this, that if it goes beyond whatever the statutory period of time is or a reasonable period of time, their position is somewhat weakened.
Mm-hmm.
How long ago this happened?
Well, this is all. I just got the statement from them about a week.
How much money's involved?
Oh, $700-800.
All right.
Oh,
if they pick it up, they're coming after you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, we're back to the. I still think you're trying to get rid of your conscience. Is that true?
No, if I could easily clear it, I'd call them and tell them.
Well, why don't you write them a letter? Never mind easily. Write them one letter.
Okay.
Saying, you guys paid my bill, and I don't think you should have.
Okay.
What should I do? And I wouldn't write them 10 letters. I mean, I got a conscience, but it's not that big.
I'm with you on that.
I just write them. But if you want to write them one letter, fine. Say, this is the case. Now, there's another way to go about that, too. You can write them a 12-page letter. Then you know nothing will ever happen. Give them all the facts, from, well, let me see. At third grade, my teacher said,
well, how do you get past...
nobody will wade through that, but then your conscience is in good shape because you sent them a letter saying that they paid the claim in error.
Well, how do you get past the clerks that read this stuff?
What difference does it make? You're overcomplicating things. Mama.
No. Okay.
I mean, let's be real. How you said you're 28. What's your first name? What's your first name?
Pam.
Pam, you must have known your mother's personality. You lived with her for 20 years. And I got a feeling Mama comes over and knocks on the door or doesn't even knock when she comes in for coffee, huh?
No, she's not that type of a person. Really, she's hardly ever over here. Really.
What? She just peers over the fence.
No, it's not even that. It's just our patios, believe it or not, are on the same side. And they're separated by her fence and some hedges. And now that, spring is breaking and we're setting out, just this past couple of nights back we sat out and it was like I can hear my mother's conversation and she can hear ours and it's like we're in the same house together even though I don't want to.
What makes you think a fence is going to prevent you hearing conversations?
Well, I figured at least if I couldn't see her.
Oh, boy. All right, let me throw something at you, sir. This just so it's the patio area that's really giving you static, right?
Yes.
Why don't you just consider going down to a decorator's and see if you can find some kind of a temporary, maybe a Japanese screen or something you can set up when you're using your patio.
That sounds nice.
That might give you a certain amount of privacy, decorative, and your mother's not going to slap a coat of paint on it. And you take it down when you're not on the patio.
You mean and forget the fence idea altogether? And
forget the fence idea altogether. Yeah. What do you want to have a feud with your mother for over a fence?
I know. This is it. I've done it. I've even sent her flowers from the florist to try to keep her happy, and it's still.
Oh yeah, I like that. That's a great idea. I think so. Everybody should send flowers from florists, knowing that I own a few florists. I think you might want to consider something a little more of a decorator style that would sit on your patio.
Okay.
And that way you'd keep a little peace in the family. But really, sweetheart, it's time to move.
Oh, I agree.
It really is.
I think I'll concentrate more in that area, too. Thanks a lot, Bruce.
Pam, I wish you well. Hang in there, kid. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. We go down to Sparta, Wisconsin. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Thanks for taking my call.
Not at all. What's on your mind?
Well, I had a little trouble recently with employer bad-mouthing me.
All right. Why?
Well, what had happened was I had done some freelance work for a newspaper in a different town about 8 months ago, and somehow I had rubbed the editor the wrong way. I don't know, I must have said something inadvertently. I'm not exactly sure what caused it, but he ended up not calling me to do anything anymore, and I figured, well, he just doesn't have any work, no big deal. In January, I was applying for internships, and while I was interviewing at the paper that I've eventually been hired at, the editor there said, we have a little problem I need to discuss with you, and he subsequently told me that this person had called him. Somehow this guy had found out that I had gotten or was applying for this internship, and I didn't leave that editor as a reference or anything, and for some reason he took it upon himself to call up this other paper and start telling the new editor what a bad guy I was, I guess.
All right. Well, you still got the job, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I am just worried that when I'm applying for other jobs or other internships, this guy will, for some reason, have a vengeance against me, and I just want to know what I should do.
What he's doing is somewhat dangerous given the attitude of the courts toward references today. Many businesses now will not give a reference of any kind, good or bad, because the courts are getting more and more slanted, particularly in certain states, toward the employee, and the employer's afraid they'll get sued.
Even though I never listed him as a reference.
Doesn't have anything to do with any of this. The fact is that what he is doing is putting himself into jeopardy, even if he's telling the truth.
Okay.
Now, if I were you, I'd just forget it. I think I don't know this, but the likelihood is you'll lose interest in all this nonsense.
Okay, that's what some people have suggested to me, and others have said go after him.
What are you going to go after him with?
Well, just go and talk to him.
How have you been damaged?
As of right now, I haven't been.
And so, what are you going to go at? You go talk to him to what? The best thing to do is live well and ignore him. What did you do that really set this guy off? How old are you? You sound young. How old are you?
I'm 23.
And what did you do to this guy? I mean, did you date his daughter or something?
No, I must have. And the thing that really bothers me is I don't recall doing anything to him. I may have. He may have said something to me, and I may have said something back that was not treating him with the utmost respect.
Well,
I don't know.
What does he say to? Or what did he say, as best you're able to determine?
I probably shouldn't say it over the radio, exactly what he said, but
well, no, if they're expletives, I can do without them.
He called me smart something.
A 3-letter word.
You got it.
Were you?
I don't think I was, and if I was, it would have... just seems that he should have talked to me about it before he started to try to ruin my career.
I don't disagree with that, but I don't think being called a smart-ass, and that's what you're talking about, is it?
Exactly.
I don't think that's going to be the end of the world. I mean, cut me a break.
No, but, if somebody... It would seem to me that if I was if I was an editor and I was going to hire somebody, and somebody else out of the blue called me and said, this guy's a smartass, I would probably think twice about hiring him.
Now, you see, I would not. I would think the guy had a vendetta of some kind. Had I called him because he was a former employer and he said that would give some credibility to what he had to say. But if the guy called me gratuitously, I think he has little to do with his time.
Okay.
It would not distress me very much.
So I shouldn't.
I wouldn't lose any. Just do a good job where you are now. That's the answer to the thing.
Okay.
I do wish you well, kid.
Thanks a lot, Bruce.
Earlier today, I went for a ride in what? The Limmouse Zine. You got to be kidding. These folks at Disney, they have what engineers they call Imagineers. And these guys have some imaginations. They created this thing for the mouse to travel around the country. It is a Lincoln stretch limousine, 40 feet long. I mean, that's like a huge bus. Inside, there's a bed for the mouse. The thing is got furniture for Mickey Mouse. Many characters travel around in it, and it's going to be on a tour. And if you're in some of these cities, you might want to look for it. Atlanta, Georgia, Greenville, Charleston, Charlotte, Winston-Salem, Raleigh, Norfolk, Hartford, Buffalo, Toronto, Columbus, Dayton, Cincinnati, Louisville, Kansas City, Grand Rapids, and Milwaukee, Detroit, Nashville, Memphis, Birmingham, Houston, and back to Florida. This all takes place from May 9th through June the 17th. And if I lose this job, I get a job at Penn Station announcing the Amtrak to Kissimmee. Oh, my goodness gracious. But it is quite a piece of work, this thing. And I have a suspicion that some local station in each of those communities will be broadcasting from the back of this thing, because there is truly a little broadcast studio in the back of the Limmouse Zine. Everything is a mouse. You know, some guy is going to make a fortune at the gate selling mouse traps. You see the T-shirts now? I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. My goodness, our special thanks to Kevin Delaney. He is down from our studios in Washington, D.C. There are mutual studios. You know, we are in a whole new era here, with Westwood One buying Mutual and NBC and a few other things. And it's a whole new marriage, and it's nice to get to know and work with these guys. And, of course, George over here. Where is George McNeely? He's from WDBO. Very, very kind to come by all week long and work with us. The technical part of this whole nonsense, it takes a couple hundred people to do this. I mean, I get to sit here and play games and kiss beautiful women and the whole thing. And these guys have to do the work. Delta Airlines flew everybody down. And it's really quite an operation. It's a surprise. You know, they had over 130 radio stations broadcasting from Mouse World this week, not to mention a number of television stations, all here on property. And these guys are getting the job done, getting it up on a bird and getting it back where it belongs. So they know their business around here. They really do. Bakersfield, California, your turn. Hello.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
I know you're the one for questions from parents on how to help children.
You bet.
So may I
Don't do a thing for them.
Oh, okay. I know that's what you're going to say. Okay, here's the situation. We have a 19-year-old daughter married to a 21-year-old gentleman in the Air Force. He's enlisted. They found themselves getting his first choice, which was Hawaii, Hickam Air Force Base.
Mm-hmm.
They are so discouraged when they go out and look at apartments for $800 and $850 a month. They came up with the idea, how about these parents here helping them to get a condominium?
How much?
Well, they have. I've got everything from $72,000 to $275,000. She had on a little paper, a little real estate.
Oh, I
paper.
think the $275,000 is appropropriate for a 19-year-old, don't you?
Yes, and I'm sure I could come up with a. Now,
sure.
Let's say it was $125,000, and I haven't been to Honolulu for 19 years since she was an infant. My husband was on R&R from Vietnam, and I didn't shop condos then. But let's say it was $125,000, and we put the customary down, the 20%.
Mm-hmm. They couldn't afford it.
Well, the Air Force will only give him $600 a month housing allowance until he has another stripe, which I think is a year. They have to wait for base housing for at least 2 years to get on the list, is the way I believe I understood it.
Can I ask a very foolish question?
You go right ahead.
Before this kid picked Hawaii as his first choice, did he make any inquiries into housing, or did he say, "Gee, it'd be lovely to be in Waikiki"?
No, I believe it was the draw that it was paradise, and in fact,
in that case, why not punish him for a stupid move?
Oh, be nice.
What do you mean, be nice?
Well, you know,
that was dumb.
I know.
Do you have a ton of money?
No, I could put. I've inherited some, and I could come up with about 40 or 50. But then I'd own a condominium at the end of 3 years that I had to sell or rent. My husband and I. I say I. It'd be we. We
That would be very, very foolish.
Oh, and so let's see. And it also let me throw this one at you too. They thought maybe we could help them with a monthly payment of about $200 or $300.
Oh, what the heck?
Oh, this sounded like a reasonable question when I had it all. Now
you know, the sorry part is you got a couple of children that are married playing house.
You know, will you go right on, because I'm taping this and I'm going to give this to them. You go right ahead.
You don't have to tape it. We have a station that as these words are being spoken,
they're not listening. They're not listening in Honolulu right now, so I'm taping this and I'm going to send it to them.
Well, these words are being heard in Honolulu as they're being spoken.
Well, I wish she was on listening, but I'm sure she isn't.
Uh-huh.
So, okay.
Now, she's probably busy out on the beach.
Well, actually, she's looking for a job.
Well, I hate to be tough on you, kid.
Go ahead.
But they can't afford a house for that kind of money. I mean, she's already told you that.
No, they
want you to put the money down, and then they want to help them make the payments.
Cosign.
I mean, when they breathe, they'll want you to lean on their chest.
They have $7,000 when I sell their little pickup truck for them. When I get the $7,000 out of it.
Oh, how nice!
They'd have $7,000 for a down, and then they'd like.
My dear, they're going to have to go out and get a furnished room someplace.
Well, they have some furniture.
I don't care. Hell with the furniture. I mean, that's all they can afford is a room.
They can afford a $700 one-bedroom apartment.
Well, then let them go rent it, and that's the end of it.
Okay.
There is no way in the world you ought to be persuaded to go out and lay that kind of cash out for a variety of reasons. First of all, they haven't earned it.
No, that's true.
Pure and simple. If you were a millionaire, a multi-millionaire, you'd be making a tragic mistake, in my judgment, by giving a 19-year-old and a 21-year-old playing house.
I know. They know they're young. They're young, and they admit they married awfully young.
Well, but the point is, why do you want to go out and compound it?
I don't.
Reward it?
I don't. Well, then what do you think of me going into the pizza business with him 3 years when he gets out of the service?
I don't know what kind of a kid he is when he gets out of the service. That's another story. I don't know. Well, hold it. I can't answer that, nor can you.
Okay. He worked for a pizza parlor. He makes wonderful pizza, and one day I thought, well, I wonder if he'd like us to help him finance a pizza parlor when he gets out of the airport.
Well, for 3 years from now, let's talk about it.
Okay.
But in the meantime, you would be making, in my view, a tragic error for any number of reasons. A, they can't afford it. B, if they get irresponsible, there goes your $40,000, 3,000 miles away from Bakersfield. It's a long walk to Hawaii.
That's right.
And all the way around, let them live in the apartment. And you mentioned your old man went to Vietnam, right?
Yes.
Who gave you $40,000 to buy an apartment?
No one.
Can't hear you.
No one gave us.
I can't hear you.
I say no one, and
I want to make sure it's on the tape. Say it one more time.
No one gave us anything.
Exactly so.
Okay.
Hey, listen, we grown-ups got to stick together.
That's right. Well,
otherwise, the trolls will gang up on us.
I know. Well, they like your book. I gave him your book for his 21st birthday, and he was impressed with it.
Now he'll burn it. Anyway.
You really made my day. Thank you.
I wish you well, sweetheart. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. I've got 2 kids. If I go to Hawaii now, I'll be assassinated. This is Talknet. We go to Lake Placid, New York. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Well, hello, Bruce. I've been enjoying your show for about a year.
Well, thank you.
And I've got a catch-22 situation here.
Let's talk.
From the top. About a year ago, my girlfriend's car, an old beater, kind of broke down semi-terminally, burned a valve. All right, she parked it in my off-street parking behind my house. She used to live here.
This is your girlfriend?
Right. And, well, she couldn't decide whether to repair it or not, and became a moot point shortly anyway because she lost a driver's license. So there wasn't much motivation to repair it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, things progressed, and just after the first of the year, she moved out.
She is an ex-girlfriend?
Ex-girlfriend.
All right.
Said she would take her car with her, See, up here in upstate New York, you need to have off-street parking because you have to take your car off the public streets for plowing and whatnot. It's essential. And that's occupying one of my 2 places. Anyway, she said she'd take the car.
Where is she now?
Oh, in a nearby town, maybe 10 miles away.
All right.
Okay. And I've tried to contact her.
You know where she lives?
Oh, yes. Phone number, address. But
well, why don't you just go get a hook?
Yeah.
Take the 10-mile trip, unhook the hook, and go home.
Well, that comes to a bit of a problem there because she hasn't re-registered the car.
You don't have to have a registration on a car that's on the back of a truck.
Well, to tow it is no problem, but the question is where to tow it.
Right in front of her house.
Well, that was an idea that I had, but the people who tow cars around here tell me that they're legally not empowered to leave an unregistered vehicle on a public street.
Now,
am I being fed line?
How long have you been in How long have you lived in Lake Placid?
Oh, 3 years.
How many?
3.
And you're going to tell me in 3 years you haven't met somebody that can make this happen?
Well, I talked to the village police.
That was the brightest place to go.
Yeah. I found that out. Believe me, because what they're telling me now is that I can't consider it an abandoned vehicle because it's on my property. I'm now the custodian of it. However, since it's not registered, it classifies under the junk car ordinance, and I have to get rid of it.
What did I just get through telling you? And you're going to tell me that you don't know somebody in town that has a tow truck or a tilt body that's not willing to come over there about 6 o'clock at night as the sun settles into the horizon, put this pig on the back or on the hook, and make a 10-mile jaunt across town and then go home and watch television?
Oh, I can try to do that. You think, am I legally empowered to do
I don't know what you're legally
like
empowered to do. I really don't know. You're asking me what I would do? Would have happened a long time ago.
Oh, I see.
What do you? I don't know how it got there. What are you talking about? What truck in my backyard? I mean, you went out and got witnesses already. I mean, that was very foolish.
Yeah, that was. I found that out.
Industrial strength.
Oh, because
but it's over with and done.
In a small town like this.
All right, or put another way. You said she knows where she lives. Is there a driveway there?
No, there's not. As a matter of fact.
No driveway at all.
Right.
At her house.
Right.
You're sure?
Yes, I'm sure of that.
Does she live there by herself in the house?
No, it's a big old house that's been split up into like a dozen apartments, but there is no off-street parking.
Suppose, I mean, you're not my kind of guy. I can see that. Suppose the car just happened to wind up around the corner on the street.
I thought of that.
It's an abandoned car. It's not your problem.
I've cut my throat already.
Well, what can I say?
The police will be at my front door immediately if that shows up on
I don't know how it got over there. Officer, I don't know how it got there. Well, somebody must have stole it and couldn't... Oh, please. Take good care, my friend. Oh, dear, dear, dear. I guess I'm devious by nature. Jackson, Mississippi. Hello there.
Hey, Bruce. How are you?
Doing I'm a little frustrated right now.
Oh, no.
That problem would have lasted about 30 seconds in my neighborhood. Now, you see, if he lived in New York, I'd give him another situation.
That's right.
Yeah, you take it over in the Grand Central Parkway, you leave it for 30 seconds.
It's gone, huh?
Gone. What can I do for you?
Listen, I've gotten myself in a financial bind with credit cards. And right. I know your feelings on that. I've heard you.
Well, listen, it happens. People make mistakes.
I don't make much money, and that's how I lived, and I just messed up, Messed up fast.
How much do you owe?
Don't jump on me when I tell you. I owe about $20,000.
$20,000. Well, that's a pretty good number. How much do you earn?
About $10.50 a month.
$12,000 a year.
All right.
You're a candidate for bankruptcy.
I know, but I try not to do that. What I wanted to ask you, what was your opinion on these credit counselors?
Well, you can certainly go see them, but I don't think you're going to bring it off. I don't mean to be... And I don't take bankruptcy lightly. How old are you?
28.
Yeah, I don't take... Do you have any assets at all?
Not really.
I don't see how you're going to dig out, man. Not with the income you've described.
Yeah.
I don't see it happening.
I've talked to my creditors, and they said that if I go through a credit counselor, that they would drop the finance charges and so forth, and accept a lot.
If you paid $2,000 a year, you got a 10-year gig ahead of you, unless you can earn a lot more money.
I know. I realize it'd take a long time.
What do you do for a living?
A police officer.
They only pay you $10,000 a year?
Yeah, that's it.
Full time?
You're right. They don't pay much in Mississippi.
And you're laughing.
I used to work in Louisiana and made about double the money. I need to go back, it looks like.
Well, maybe that's a solution available to you, or the other is to get yourself another job.
Right.
Get out of the police business.
Well, I see the problem is now I could get a part-time job, but I'm behind on these bills now, and to catch up on these bills, it would take like, $300 or $400 per bill to even think about it.
Go see a nonprofit credit counselor by all means. You see, you're an honorable man, and I salute that. You made a bad mistake, and I understand that. But if you don't want to, and as I say, I don't take bankruptcy lightly. I think you must know that.
Well,
but when you make as little as you do and owe as much as you do, unless you're prepared to either get another job someplace and earn a substantial amount of money, you're just never going to dig out, and that's a fact.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe I could get set up on this credit arrangement and maybe get another job and start paying more on each,
Now, listen, you're an honorable guy, as I said. Yeah, by all means, go see yourself one of the underscore the word, non-profit credit counselors. They can help you get that meter turned off as far as it's concerned. You'll make the payments to them. They will send the money on to the credit card companies. But I really think you have to do one or two things in conjunction with that. Get a new job or a full-time, part-time job. Good luck, my friend. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Dubuque, Iowa, it's your turn. Welcome to Talknet.
Hello, thank you. I really like your show. It's very educational. You keep me company in the car a lot. I do a lot of driving.
Thank you, ma'am. What's up?
Well, I was calling to see if you could help me find out about something. I do an awful lot of reading, but reading material is expensive, so I pick up books and stuff at rummage sales.
Sure.
2-3 weeks ago, and I like the old style writing. I don't like the romances, the spy novels, etc. I go more for like the Jack London type stuff.
Jack London?
Well, the Call of the Wild, White Fang, and Albert Pace and Terhune about the collies and stuff.
You must go for Jerry Todd, too, huh?
Well, maybe I've read some of his, but I don't know,
Sorry, we'll do that another time. Go ahead.
But anyway, a couple weeks ago, I went to a sale, and I was pawing through, and I found this nice hardback book in the bottom. And on the front of it, it's a hardback, and it's got one of those pictures on the front. It was Tom, Mix, and Tony.
All right.
And the title of the book is Tony and His Pals. So I took it, and I got it for a quarter.
Last of the big spenders, I can see.
Oh, yeah. And on the way home, my husband was driving, so I started to read it. I go crazy when I don't have reading material. I'm going page by page, and I get to the dedication page, and here it is, autographed by Tom Mix.
Uh-huh. Or at least, or seemingly autographed by Tom.
Yeah. It's in fountain pen, circa the era. And I went home, and the neighbor lady comes over, and she says, well, what'd you find today? And I told her, and she kind of flipped. She says, wait. And she went back in the house, and she brought out a newspaper clipping that she said was in the newspaper just that week, where, the autograph hounds, what their autographs are worth.
Why did she clip it?
Because she has some autographs from Lawrence Welk and Elvis Presley and stuff also,
There's a combination, Lawrence Welk and Elvis Presley.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
Bubbles and guitars. Go ahead. So, what did it say about Tom Mix in this article?
Well, it said that his autograph, like if it was just on a napkin or something, was worth $200.
Huh.
And if it was on a photograph, it was worth $300. Well, I have the book, and it's got lots of pictures in there, but I don't know where to find out if it's worth anything.
in any major city, and you're in Dubuque, you're only a hop, skip, and a yodel over to Chicago.
That's my hometown.
Okay, well, I mean, it's only about a 2.5-hour drive, isn't it? To something
Yeah,
in that order?
just about.
Why don't you just drive over to Chicago? There are any number of autograph dealers who will be glad to take a look at what you got and give you a price for it.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't aware that there were places like that.
Oh, there certainly are. And I'm in a city size Chicago. I'm sure you'll find several.
Okay, thank you.
Let your fingers do the walking and take a ride. I wish you well, dear. Tom Mix. Remember him well. Greeley, Colorado. Hello there.
Yes, Bruce.
Hi.
So many say how much they enjoy your program, and I do too, but I'd like to add that I appreciate and enjoy your consistent courtesy. You're the only talk show host that I find that earns this compliment.
Well, thank you very, very much. You're very kind. What can I do for you today?
I'm buying airline tickets, and remembered you said to purchase tickets on your credit card.
You bet.
And I spoke to the travel agent about
Are you going to have
this.
to you have to speak up just a little bit, hon.
I spoke to the travel agent about this, and they wondered why I asked about putting it on the credit card, and I could not remember the reason you gave.
Well, there are a lot of
Please
good
tell me
reasons.
again.
There are a ton of good reasons. There are a lot of people that bought Eastern Airlines tickets. Eastern Airlines goes into bankruptcy. If they have them on a credit card, they get their money back. If they don't have them on a credit card, they got to sweat. That's for openers. Secondly, if on most, not all certainly, but most credit cards, you get free travel insurance just by buying the ticket. On one of my credit cards, I get $500,000 worth of flight insurance absolutely free just for purchasing the tickets on that credit card.
That's right. I do remember that.
On most of them, it's at least $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
It costs you nothing extra if you have a 28-day grace period or you have a travel and leisure card, and you have the leverage, as I said, if something were to happen, a strike of some kind or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All the way around. What did the travel agent say?
The travel agent was unaware that it was a good idea. And I could not remember what you said, so I couldn't remember either. But we're really down to the bottom line of this is the travel insurance. Because...
we're talking about death insurance, not cancellation, hon.
Yes,
If the airplane cuts a furrow, you got rich relatives.
So your travel insurance is the main thing, the main reason why it is a good idea.
Well, that, and if something were to happen.
Pardon?
If something, as I said, a lot of people didn't think they're going to have a problem with Eastern, but they do.
Right. And those are the two things that you had mentioned.
Well, those are two easy things, yes.
Mm-hmm. Or is there anything else that I might say to her other than...
I think that's enough for the time being.
Yes.
And as a practical matter, it's none of her business.
Well, it's my business, though, and I really wanted to know.
Okay, well, that's another...
I was trying to recall, why I could not remember this to tell her.
Okay, well, that's
Thank
fine.
you.
But those are the... You see, you'll see people slugging in quarters in the machines in the lobbies of airports. It's a terrible buy. Terrible buy. You do much better getting it for nothing the way you're, this way. Doesn't cost you a quarter. It's remarkable. The same person that wouldn't buy regular life insurance before they got on the airplane, they had to have 3 hookers of good scotch and a special life insurance policy. And it blows my mind because it's the safest form of transportation, period. Far safer than the ride to the airport. The only thing that's dangerous is the food. And that is dangerous. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. The Big D, Dallas, Texas. Hello there.
Yes, Bruce. How are you?
I am real well, thank you.
Good. I have a banking question for you.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
But time is very much an issue here, so accelerate and let's get it on.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering, does a bank or a credit union have the right to freeze your account without informing you first?
For whom? Like the IRS, like?
No. My bank, my bank froze my account without calling me up. I went to the ATM to get some money out.
Yeah, but I want to know why they froze it, on whose behalf?
They froze it on their behalf because I have a loan through them.
Yeah.
And apparently they didn't receive the payment, and that was a follow-up on their part. They were supposed to do electronic transfer from my bank account into their fund, and they forgot to do the transfer, so they froze my account.
The entire account?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I don't see how they have a right to do that, no.
Not at all?
I don't see how, unless you gave them that right when you signed the loan. You see, you have a contract with them.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that contract calls for.
Okay. So I need to find out what that contract...
Well, sure, go back and read it to see what rights you gave up or gave them or assigned to them.
Mm-hmm.
And in the event that you did not, I don't know that I've never heard of that happening before, to tell you the truth.
Really? I believe it happened to a couple other people.
If you had an electronic transfer... And you did give them that assignment. All they had to do was go to your account, assuming that the money was there. Was there enough money in your account?
Oh yeah, plenty.
Well, then there's no reason why they just wouldn't take the money out and go in peace.
Well, they were supposed to send me coupons first, but I never received the coupons. So I called them up a week before the loan was due and told them I didn't receive the coupons. So just go ahead and take the money out of my account and electronically transfer it. And they said, fine, we'll do that.
I don't understand why they did what they did, and I have no idea what right they would have to do that. I've never heard of that happening before.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Because now I'm high and dry for the weekend without any money. I just went to the money machine to try to get some money and said
another yuppie. The money machine. They're not open on Saturday? That's right. Texas, most of the banks aren't open on Saturday.
No, I don't think my credit union is.
Well, in that case, it looks to me like you better go find a good buddy till the weekend.
Okay.
I wish you well. There we go again. Everybody's dependent. I got a guy next to me here. He lives and dies by the money machine. What's wrong with good old American cash? Hey, it's been a good hour here at Walt Disney World. I do hope you've enjoyed it. We certainly have enjoyed bringing it to you. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet.
Little Dinky. We've never had 1,000 employees all across the board. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So never been anything very large.
Well, I just been recently, thinking about this idea that if I could buy a business that's currently absentee-owned, so it's proven itself that it can be run.
Yeah, but you missed an ingredient.
Pardon?
You're missing ingredients. How much money you have to play with? Let's start with that.
$150,000.
Oh, forget about it. Not a chance.
Really?
Not for that kind of dough. I don't mean to belittle it.
Mm-hmm.
But 150, you're lucky you get into any kind of a decent business when you're in there 60 hours a week.
Well, that's what I needed to hear, I guess.
And you're going to find brokers who will take your money. But that's crazy. That's crazy. That sounds like a lot of dough. But it really isn't.
All right.
I mean, you can put that much money into a small hamburger stand without any effort whatever.
Well, I've looked at businesses, just to give you some numbers, I've looked at businesses that are being offered at prices anywhere from ranging from $150 to about $600 and $1,000. And the idea that I sort of thought that perhaps I could end up buying them with about 25% down payment.
Well, the only way you're going to get financing is from the owner. Let's start with that.
Okay.
You're not going to go to
with being secured with real estate that I own.
Well, that's paying cash.
Right. Well, I understand.
Well, if you secure it with real estate, you bought it for cash.
Well,
no, not well. You secure your pay. I mean, repeat after me. You pay cash.
It's cash to the seller, but it's not 100% cash to me.
It certainly is. It deprives you of the use of that money. You no longer have it.
Okay. Well, all right, but
if you go out, for example, a lot of guys, and you do it for some tax reasons and other, you want to buy a business, pick a number, $100,000, and so you buy a CD at the bank, and then the business borrows $100,000 from that bank, but it's fully secured by your CD. You didn't put any money into this thing; you got a CD, but the CD is totally leaned, so you don't have anything. Okay. It's Mickey Mouse financing, and sometimes there are tax considerations that dictate you do it that way. But don't kid yourself. If you secure it with real estate, you pay cash.
Okay.
And anybody who sells you a business with 25 points down that you're going to try to run absentee is trying to dump something. If they're going to finance 75%, I finance businesses that I've sold to people. But if you think for a moment that I'd take, unless I felt that 25% was all I wanted and the 75 was gravy if I happened to find a chump, I wouldn't put myself in that position, and no sane businessman would.
Okay, well, let's just say I found a business that I'm interested in. What kind of things should you be looking for to protect your interest?
I wrote a book on this subject, and I don't even recommend the book to you. There's too much to read.
I read your book.
Did you? Well, there's an awful lot in there about that.
Right.
What I would suggest to you, and I got to turn you loose.
Okay.
If you find a business, give me a notion of what kind of business we're talking about.
let's say it's a food business in a mall.
What kind of a food business?
Like a fast food type business.
All right, fine. Then get yourself a job in a fast food business in a mall somewhere for 6 months or so. I don't care if you work for minimum wage. That's not a date. We're going to school now. But instead of risking your $1.50 in capital, you're going to get an idea what my father would have called the seams of the coat. You're going to see what the inside is like. If you keep your mouth shut and your eyes and ears wide open, you're going to buy yourself an education. Then you may think this is the best thing since sliced raisin bread with a little bit of sugar on top, and go ahead for it. On the other hand, you'll allowed to be for 3 months and say, oh, my Lord in heaven, I'd rather go to Sing Sing prison than do this. Then you've only got to give your 2-week resignation instead of having your dough tied up. But in my opinion, your approach is completely 180 degrees off point.
Well, I certainly appreciate the input.
And I'm not trying to pick on you.
No, that's all right.
But I'm telling you, there are guys out there that will shear you. I'm talking about they're going to have that wool gone, and you're not even going to know they were working the shears.
Well, I'll be careful.
Well, I don't. As I said, trust me on this one. Anybody would go for that deal. And I tell you what, right now, I got a business that I would sell you under those conditions. I got a business that I own right now that I would sell you under those conditions. If I get the 150, I'd say, well, I got that. If he makes a few payments, I'm ahead of the game. I'm Bruce Williams. Don't go for that one either. This is Talknet. We go to the Berg, Pittsburgh, PA. Hello there.
Hello. Thank you for taking my call.
Oh, you're welcome. Spent my day in Pittsburgh today.
I heard that. That's kind of what prompted me. I thought this must be an omen that I need to call you today.
Well, son of a gun. You got too much snow up there. When I looked out of the airplane and saw that white stuff on the ground, I said, what is this? Nobody warned me.
Well, we were lucky for a long time, so I guess we have to pay it for it now.
Well, you only had a dusting, really.
Right. We're going to get a little bit more, but nothing like we had last year, so.
Well, bite your tongue. Talk to me about that 1st of April.
Okay.
What's on your mind, baby?
I'm kind of put in the situation that I'm going to be handling my grandmother's finances. I've been doing it probably for about the past 6 months because she developed some illnesses. And I'm certainly no financial wizard on my own, much less someone else's.
Let's start with a couple of real quickies, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Is your grandmother still in command of her faculties?
She is mostly.
No, that's not the good question. She isn't, then, the answer is.
Well, most times.
The problem is she able to execute a document that a physician would say that she is capable of executing?
Yes, I believe she could.
Well, I get that done in a hurry.
Okay.
You get what's called a durable power of attorney.
Okay.
And I mean like tomorrow.
Okay.
You should have an attorney draw it and have a physician certify that on this January the 4th or 5th, whatever day you do it, that she was in command of her faculties.
Okay.
Then it kicks in, or you could have or you might just have a power of attorney where you can handle it.
Well, she did include a power of attorney in her will, but they have told me that is just in regard to her medical care. And
a will doesn't mean until you die.
Well, exactly, but for the part of like the living will.
That's called. Well, a living will is a different matter. A will and a living will both have the same name, but but their only relationship. A will is a document which has absolutely no force and effect whatever until you pass away. A living will is your public statement of what you want and don't want done in the event of an illness.
Right.
A durable power of attorney allows someone to step in the event that someone is ill and pay the bills and cash in the stock and all that kind of good stuff, which is apparently what you'll be doing for Grandma.
Right. Well, she did put me on her checking account, and I do have access to one of her banking accounts, so I've been able to handle it through that so far. But it just may get to the point where I need to get access to her other account.
Well, that's why a durable power of attorney really would be in both of your interests. She clearly trusts you.
Yes.
And that would be, honestly, if you were wise. You see, and I know we're going afield, and I promise you the time to get back to it. But you see, if you don't do this, and then your grandmother does pass whatever this point is where she is not able to handle her own affairs, then you got to go for a guardianship.
Okay.
And that is not only expensive, in many states, it is really a very trying and demeaning process for the person who is the guardianship is to be established. It really, you have to drag people into court with to demonstrate to the judge that, yeah, this person really has Alzheimer's. To me, that's cruel.
Right.
Now, the argument is, yeah, but there are people taking advantage, and we're never going to settle that one.
Well, there's always going to be someone out there.
Well, that's why this is a real example of a stitch in time can save a whole ton.
Right.
Anyway, I apologize for rambling.
No problem. The question right now, with it being an issue with tax time coming up, I assume that it might be the best thing to go back to the same tax preparer that she used last year.
What kind of money are we talking about?
She probably has, as far as in-bank accounts and CDs and everything, close to $100,000.
All right, so then they probably couldn't kick off more than $6,000 or $7,000.
Oh, what do you mean as far as
interest?
Oh, yes.
That's all we're concerned with as far as taxes. If she did very well, had some old CDs, maybe $8,000. Who knows? Not enough to get emotional over.
Right.
What other income besides that?
Her Social Security.
That's it?
That's it.
Yeah, any tax preparer can handle that.
Okay.
Just make sure you have all the 1099s and that sort of thing assembled.
What would be a 1099?
Well, that's one above a 1098.
And one below 1,100.
Anyway, it's just it is a statement of earnings.
Okay.
Of interest earnings.
Oh, is that what?
And the some of them, or the vast majority now, are magnetic strips, so they go off to the government and they'll match them up to her return maybe.
Oh, okay.
But all you want is a statement. Do you know where all their bank accounts are?
Yes.
Okay, that's easy. Then they should come automatically.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't come by the 31st of January, then call them and explain the circumstance. They'll give you a statement, and then it's just a very simple matter of filing the tax return.
Okay.
That's easy.
And the other part, in regards to a CD, she gave me, and I'm uncomfortable and even embarrassed about the fact that she did this, but she wanted to give me the money that she had in a CD that was going to mature the end of last April.
How much money?
I believe it's like $37,000.
Well, then that's another little problem.
That's what I figured it was going to be.
It's not a big problem. It is a problem.
Okay.
Or maybe we'll call it a condition, okay?
Uh-huh.
Then we're going to get I want you to get somebody decent. And again, it's not a big deal, but somebody who knows tax. Because she can claim that she can give you $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it for any 1 year.
Okay.
Are you married?
No.
Okay. Because if you had a husband kicking around, you'd give him 10 too. But we don't want to do that. But what also she can do is claim against her lifetime exemption while she's alive.
Yes.
Well, but this is not an automatic.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not done properly, then she will owe tax on the gift that she gave you.
Okay.
And if it's done properly, there'll be no tax. Okay. And clearly, no tax beats the hell out of any tax.
Right. How about my responsibilities as far as that?
The tax is the responsibility of the giver,
okay,
not the recipient.
Okay.
But it's so easy to claim against her lifetime estate.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't fight it.
Okay.
Just get it done.
All right.
Other than that, Grandma's lucky to have you around. How old is your grandmother?
91.
Yeah, she's very lucky to have you around. Now, and she does have a will.
Yes, she does have a will.
It's appropriately drawn, so there's no problems there.
I hope so. We had a lawyer do it.
Okay.
The executrix of the will.
Fine. If you had a lawyer do it, I don't think you have any problem there.
Okay. If when the time would come when she would pass away, is it best for me to go to that lawyer and say help?
It really, you can get advice, but you could probably walk the thing yourself and save some fees. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Houston, Texas. Hello there. Welcome to my world.
Hello, Bruce.
Yes, it is I.
Yes. I got an interesting Christmas present this year.
Did you? What'd you get?
Well, the company I've worked for some time, the day after Christmas, closed its doors.
That's a present. A shock maybe you got.
Indeed it was.
How long did you work there?
21 years.
Did you have any inkling that this was going to happen?
We had vague rumors. But it's somewhat more complicated than it appears at first.
They usually are?
The company was taken over by a created subsidiary of a very large corporation about 8 years ago.
A created subsidiary?
Yeah.
Created just for that purpose, to take over your company?
To take us over and take over the work we've been doing. And it was a union shop. And this past spring, we had negotiated a contract wherein the CFO had told us that there were no raises possible because of the great benefits that would be coming at the beginning of the year. Well, the beginning of the year is here, and there's no job, no benefits, and the raises are gone, obviously. We never got the raises because the raise was the benefits we would be getting.
The raise was the benefit. Okay, go ahead.
So there was no cash raise on this contract. In the past month, they bailed out the CFO and the CEO to the corporate offices and left 200 and some people, including the lower management and all the blue collar, sitting there waiting to come back to work today and find out there's no work.
They just closed the place up entirely, huh?
They've locked it. They've changed the locks, hired guard companies.
How big an operation?
Well, they sold our contracts for $2.5 billion.
That's with a B?
With a B, yes.
This is a pretty good-sized subsidiary you got here.
Yeah, it was. And they farmed out the work to a larger company that does this type of work. And we were just wondering if the way the whole thing was handled, it was done with great secrecy, and all the employees to come clear out lockers, get personal belongings and all, had to be escorted by local police.
Why was that? Were they afraid of sabotage?
Well, they claimed fear of sabotage, but they're claiming also that the plant, the physical assets weren't sold, and that all this stuff is going to be junked. So why would they fear sabotage?
Well, because even junk has a value.
Well, perhaps. But what we were wondering is, does this appear like it may have been bad faith bargaining?
May very well have been.
How would we pursue something?
How do you prove it is another story. But how many employees are there here?
Well, actually, there was 2 plants. There was one in another state that was closed also. All in all, close to 350 employees.
Well,
close to 400.
Well, how many of those are represented?
At this plant, about 185.
Well, it would seem to me that the 2 unions could get together.
And do what?
Well, they're the ones that, when you said bad faith bargaining, they are the agents whereby the bargaining took place. If anybody has not a beef is a poor way of putting it, a claim would seem to me that the union would on behalf of their people. And it would be up to them to litigate the thing, wouldn't it?
How do you determine it?
How do you determine what?
That if the company did it in bad faith.
Well, you make a claim, let them, obviously you're gonna say all of the things that you just told me. That they were told they're going to be here forever and so on and so forth. And this is a $2.5 billion you said they sold it for?
Yeah.
Those kind of deals don't happen overnight.
Obviously.
But you asked me what kind of a claim do you make? I'm telling you, these are the things that you would put into your action. That here is a $2.5 billion transaction. This would have taken certainly many months or moons, and you're going to say, or your side is going to allege that it took a whole long length of time. They're going to come back and say, no, listen, we cooked this up in the supermarket Saturday afternoon. I suspect, could be wrong, that a deal of that magnitude. Now, as you see, $2.5 billion is a ton of money. We both know that. On the other hand, we don't know what kind of debt there was.
All that was sold was contracts to perform the work that we're performing.
Yeah, but how much debt did this shell corp? There wouldn't be a shell. How much debt did this corporation have?
I know in the past 2 years we've made profits over double what we're expecting.
That doesn't mean a thing. I still want to know how much debt did they have.
I have no idea.
Well, that's a major factor. They may have had $2.5 billion of debt to retire. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The fact that a lot of money, if you owned a home and you sold it for $300,000, it wouldn't mean much if you had a $299,000 mortgage, would it?
No, it wouldn't.
So that's another variable that has to be dealt with here. But it would seem to me that if your unions are at all savvy, if they feel, as they may well, that there is bad faith bargaining, part of their responsibility is to go after these guys. That's why people like yourself join unions. Individually, I don't think you got a prayer.
You don't think we have a prayer?
Individually, I said.
Oh, I see.
Collectively is a different matter. And isn't that what collective bargaining is all about?
Indeed it is.
Well, it seems to me your union ought to be having a meeting, explaining what they know, what they don't know, and have some of their top legal people saying this is where we are. It may be your no place.
Uh-huh.
And clearly, I'm not in a position to make that evaluation sitting here. But those are the folks that ought to be talking to somebody.
I see.
That's why you've been paying those union dues all this time.
Yeah, I think so.
I do wish you well, Guy. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Wait a minute. You have 2 streets, right?
Yes, but the thing about it is, this entity granted us a variance, allowing us to build like you would on the inside lot.
In other words, what you're...
like you say, was it 3 feet or whatever it is on the inside lot?
Maybe I'm missing something. You're on a... Hold it. You're on a corner. One corner is improved. Is that correct? One street's improved.
The main...
So you have... So there's no question you have access to your property, clearly from that street. Is that correct?
No, we don't have access.
Why?
The house is built...
Wait a minute. I don't care if you have a driveway or anything.
No, not a driveway.
Does your property touch the main street?
Well, it's set back a
I don't care how far does it touch the main street?
Yes.
Then you have access. It may not be access you like.
Well, no, it's inaccessible in that this entity granted a variance allowing the building to be built 3 feet from the property line on either side. Now, that doesn't allow an automobile or a truck.
Wait a minute. Maybe I'm missing something. Forgive me.
All right.
You've got a house on a theoretical corner.
It's really a corner.
All right, hold it. Stop right there. Stop. You have on a theoretical corner. Or it was on a corner 30 years ago, for the sake of discussion. Yes?
Well, it's described in the deed as being bounded by one street and then...
Fine, that's a corner.
All right.
Now, I don't care about the unimproved street for the moment.
All right.
The improved street, the one that's paved and has whatever on it, right?
Yes.
Does that... Now, this is a simple yes or no question. Does that border your property?
It does.
All right. Now,
but you have to remove this building to get in from that street.
Well, the building is on your property?
Yes.
You have 2 buildings.
No, just the one building. Just that one building, but the...
wait a minute, does your building run the entire width of the property?
Except for the 3 feet that's required.
That's it? You built the whole frontage now?
Yes, that's right. Now...
Okay, so then you don't have access. Well, you do have access. You just don't have vehicular access.
I know, but you can't get into... to do any work in your yard.
Without regard to, I understand where it's inconvenient. Please don't misunderstand me. But your property is not landlocked.
Well, it is for purposes of getting your car off.
Yes, ma'am. But hold on now. I'm not unsympathetic, but I'm trying to sort this out.
Yes, go ahead.
Your property is not landlocked. You can walk onto the property from a public street.
You can walk.
That's it. There's nothing that's written specifically that you have to have vehicular access.
Well, you can't leave your car on.
You can't. Nobody ever said you have to have a car.
Oh, I see what you mean.
I'm not saying that
Well, how about...
No, hold it. What I'm trying to get to is that you can't... I'm trying to look at the ways you have to handle this.
Yes.
You cannot say that they're creating a landlocked piece of property because they are not. They're not. Because you have access via the other street by foot. That's for openers, all right?
Just by foot. That's exactly
That's it. Okay. Now... This other street is the one you've been using to get onto your driveway and the rest of that stuff.
And not only been using it, but since the subdivision was built, it has been constantly and continuously used.
Okay, fine. I understand that. But nonetheless, we can't... You see, what I'm trying to do is think of ways that you're going to be able to plead your situation.
All right.
And one of them is not that you're landlocked, because you're not.
I see.
Okay, we'll take a little time out. We'll get back and talk about it.
All right.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in. This is Talknet. I'm chatting with a lady in Jefferson Parish, Louisiana. She had what she thought was a corner lot 30 years ago. One street is dedicated, paved, and ready to go. The other street's always been unimproved. Now the community wants to or already got rid of it. Is that the case? Which is it?
No, they want to sell it.
All right. So how much do they want for it?
I don't know, but the price would be prohibitive for me.
What good is it to anybody else?
Well, they probably, if they revoke the street, they could build.
Is it wide enough to build on?
Yes, street's about 54 feet wide.
And what's the zoning call for?
2 lots, 25 feet.
So 50 feet.
Yes.
So it is a building lot, you're saying?
Well, it's not a building lot. It was dedicated.
No. It could be a building lot. It is adequate in size to be a building lot.
It is adequate in size. However, in offering it to the adjoining property owners, you could only buy 25 feet, even if I could afford it, you see.
Well, that's the way it's usually done. Now, the question is, how did they acquire this street? I don't think you know, and you're going to have to find out.
Well, I have a copy of the...
how did they get the street?
Of the extension, of the development.
All right.
A very wealthy farmer, landowner, had broken up his farm.
Right, the farm was subdivided, but the point is, was that property donated to the county or whatever it is?
Yes, and I have a...
all right, that's the answer.
I have a survey of that showing that it was dedicated for public use.
Mm-hmm. Customarily, it would be returned without cost to the adjacent property owner.
That's the way the law was written when we built our home. However, they rewrote that law, giving this entity the power to 4 different ways that it could...
Well, what are the other 2? One is to give it back, one is to sell it. What are the other 2?
The other was to sell it at public auction, and one is to exchange it for other property that the entity might want.
All right. How much do you think they're going to sell this for?
Well, you see, it's like so many cases when 30 years ago you could buy a lot, say,
but 30 years ago was a different story. How much do you think would sell?
Well, it might be 40, 50,000. I don't know.
For a 50-foot lot?
Well, it just developed that way. You know how it is in some sections. The houses go up. Now, ours is a very modest house. It's under 1,000 square feet. But it's located in what you would call a good environment.
Mm-hmm. But that's still in Louisiana, in relatively rural Louisiana.
Well, this is actually a bedroom community of the largest city.
What city?
New Orleans.
It still seems high, $50,000.
Oh, it is, but
you're telling me a 50-foot lot in your neighborhood goes for $50,000?
Oh, if you could find one, yes.
$1,000 a foot.
I know that if you can find one, but you can't find them.
Well, in that case, it's valuable.
But for me, though, it presents a dilemma because I can't get in and out.
I understand that.
I
think what you should do is see. Have you talked to an attorney?
Well, I had experience, and some of them don't know as much as I do.
Well, that may be, but I don't think this. That may be.
I don't know any politicians.
Well, it's not in Louisiana that could help, but the Kingfish and the rest of that crowd, huh?
Well,
you're old enough to remember that bunch, huh?
That's right.
But the point is that you're going to have some help. And I'm confident there's an attorney there in your area that could be of some assistance to you.
I tell you, that's a very dangerous thing because this particular entity is buying back their own canal bottoms. And
without regard to that, my dear, you're going to find attorneys that will fight anything for a buck. That's what they get paid for.
Well, they may, but I don't think in this part of the world they can do that because the political structure is so strong that no lawyer who wants to stay in business is going to take a case like that.
I don't believe that to be true. I don't think that's true. I don't believe that to be true. And there's certainly enough examples of that, but you're going to have an attorney that will, and it's no big deal for crying out loud, that your position is that you bought the building when the certain law was in place, that you bought it with the obvious notion that you would have access to your property, vehicular access, and so on and so forth. But I don't believe you're going to be able to handle that yourself. But I have every reason to believe that there are attorneys that will fight City Hall. And I understand that politics in Louisiana is a little different than other places. And certainly the legal system is very different with Napoleonic Code as contrasted with English law. But having said all that, I still believe you can find representation. I do wish you well there. Fairborn, Ohio, hello.
Hi, Bruce. How are you?
I'm okay, kid.
Need some help with perhaps legal matter dealing with insurance companies.
You recognize I'm not an attorney.
I'm sorry?
You know I'm not an attorney.
Right, but I'm sure you've had some experience with insurance companies.
One or two.
Okay. My mom and dad bought a new car about 2 weeks ago, and they were coming back from vacation. A guy in front of them stopped on the highway for a construction area. They stopped. The guy behind them hit them, drove them into the car in front of them, and did quite a bit of damage to their new car. My mother is wanting her car replaced by the insurance company.
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
Not unless it's totaled.
It's not totaled. It's they said they'd have to basically cut the rear end off the car and put a new quarter panels, new this and that.
Well, wait a minute. You say cut the rear end off. You don't mean cut the frame.
No, I don't know. They're talking cutting.
How much money? How much did the car cost new?
$18,000.
How much damage?
Between say $3,000 and $4,000.
Oh, not a chance.
Not a chance.
Not a snowball's chance in hell.
Okay.
You're only talking about this is relatively minor damage on an $18,000 piece.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that doesn't going to set too well with your mom.
No.
But there's not a chance.
Would an attorney help in this, or?
Well, but she doesn't have a right to. I mean, I realize her dilemma. She's got what she feels is a brand new car. It is a brand new car. And it's now going to have repairs. But as long as it can be satisfactorily repaired for $4,000, that's less than 25% of the cost of the car. There is no way in the world they're going to get her a new car.
When she talked to the national office of the insurance company, the guy that hit them, he said he didn't think there'd be a problem. He said he would have to have a local guy come out and...
Well, it would be a problem in what?
And replacing the car. But then...
I cannot see that happening.
And he said he would have to have a local guy come out and verify it or something.
Verify what?
I don't know. Because they said that he would call her.
Are we talking about the other guy's carrier?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And they said this guy would come out. He would call her and come out the next day, which was yesterday.
Whatever.
And he didn't. So she called him, and he said he would get back to her. He never did. She called him again, and they're sort of giving her the runaround. And
Well, first of all, understand something. I know that this is not going to set well with Mom either.
Okay.
But this is not a high priority item for this adjuster. It happens this week or next week. He really doesn't care very much.
Okay.
I know your mother doesn't feel that way.
Right.
But that's the way life is, unfortunately. Now, she has an option. She has collision insurance.
Okay.
Let her collect from her own company and let them worry about the collecting from the other guy.
Okay.
Which is probably as good or better option because they'll try to collect it all, then they'll give her a deductible back. But instead of screwing around with the other company and brand new car, I'm sure she has collision insurance. How much deductible?
I don't know.
I just go to my own company and say the other company is jerking me around. They will settle with her, but I'll tell you, they're not going to give her a new car either. They'll repair it. Good luck, kid. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Danny and I are cutting the midnight oil a big break tonight from 10 through 3 a.m., 10 p.m., 3 a.m. We'll be here taking those calls of yours off the air for broadcast at a future date. Jot the number down. It goes real quick. 800-743-8000. All righty. Pittsburgh, the Berg. Hello there.
Okay, sir. Bruce, I have a question for you. I have a clothing business, and as a small business, we get a lot of people that cannot find their sizes, their odds and ends, and we try to get it for them. I had a lady, she wanted to a certain size, supposedly small size 6. I couldn't find it anywhere. Finally, after I called 10 different companies, one company in New York had it. I told him, okay, you can send it to me. We never bought from them before. He said, well, minimum order is $200. What I needed was around $60.
What is it you were looking for?
I was looking for a leather pants. And it's about a certain size made a certain way. And all the other companies didn't have what I'm looking for. They have the basic pleated. This one is more like a jeans type, and it's a small size. And around the holidays, right before Christmas, I guess they were out of them. So I said, okay. He said, minimum $200. We don't do it less than that. I said, fine. Send me this, plus what else do you have? He said, well, we have this and that. So we agreed on
this and that. What does that mean?
Well, I mean, he was telling me what he has jackets and he has different pricing, which I don't want to pay. My main concern was to meet the 200 limit on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally he said, we have a top coat, long coat, and we can add it to this. It'll be a little over 200. I said, no problem. So I said, is these are top quality? No. He said, no problem. You'll have no problems whatsoever. I said, okay. We got him, of course. I told him, send it COD check. No. COD cash, we will not do business different. Very strict, very stern. I needed a pass. I said, fine. Even if I take a little beating, I'm still making a little money on the other one, no problem. We got him. It is the size of the pants is a size 2 instead of size 6. And
size 2, be a little tight, wouldn't it?
Plus, on it says a size 8, But anyway, the woman tried it on. It was like 3 inches apart. I said, no problem. The long coat, I said, I looked at it. It's sewn very badly. I mean, I cannot really sell it. Mm-hmm. I called him back. I said, listen, the pants doesn't fit. I have to return it. He said, you cannot return it. I said, I'll send it back. You send me something else. He said, you cannot send anything back. That's it. Strictly COD.
Well, that's the way it is.
I said, but to me, I cannot do anything with it. It's garbage. He said, well, I'm sorry.
That's unfortunate. You took a shot and lost.
Okay, is there any legalities? I mean,
no. You bought the stuff. You paid cash for. I'm not unsympathetic because I've been down that road. But you dealt with somebody you didn't know on the telephone. You take your shot when you do that kind of stuff.
Right, but if I go to the local magistrate, there's nothing.
What did you? Look, we're talking about $200.
But there's a principle behind it.
And if the principle, you want to sue him in New York State, go right ahead.
But
and you're going to have to go back and forth if it's in Manhattan, to the county of Manhattan. That's a big. I just went back and forth from New York to Pittsburgh yesterday. It's a hike.
Of course, I don't want to do that.
I'm sure you don't.
But my question is, can I do it from?
No.
I cannot do anything legally from Pittsburgh.
Not that I know of, but it's not worth it.
Well, it's not for this one only. I want to know more for the future.
You got to know. Look, you're in business, right? Mm-hmm. You got to know your sources.
Right.
That's the end of it. You got to know who your sources are.
Right.
If you're going to a new source, either you got to find out from somebody else who deals with them, or you don't deal with them, or you get on your horse and you go to New York to their showroom and see what they got.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that this one I needed for Christmas, and this
well, you were trying to be a nice guy and accommodate your customer, and you got stuck.
So there's nothing I could do legally.
Yeah, all you do is get rid of that stuff maybe for $100 to somebody. Who knows?
What happened if I send it back to them and he said, "Fine, I have it, but I'm not going to do anything with it"?
And now you're out $200 plus the merchandise.
So I'm stuck both ways.
That's right.
Even though I have papers to say he received it.
So he didn't ask you to send it to him.
So I guess
it's a gift. You're giving him a gift.
Well, I don't
unsolicited merchandise.
Okay, we don't give gifts, but I understand that. Okay.
Well, it is a gift. If you send something to somebody unsolicited, that's a gift.
I'm returning a bad merchandise.
Now, who says it's bad?
I'm saying.
You're saying. He says it's not bad. He's saying it was a cash transaction. Believe me when I tell you, how long have you been in business?
It's 7 years, 8 years.
And you still don't have sources that you can trust?
Oh, no, I have it. I tried all my sources. I had 7, 8 sources for it.
And how come they couldn't get it for you?
Because they didn't have it. It's a week before Christmas.
Well, but what do you expect the week before Christmas?
I know, but I still wanted to go this extra step to do
Well, you did, and listen, I'm not critical of that. But when you stick your neck out, every once in a while you get nicked.
And this is exactly what happened.
And you stick your neck. I'm laughing because look, I'm in business.
It's very tough. Yeah.
It happens. No, it's part of the overhead. Now you got these leather pants. They can't be altered to fit this lady.
No, it's the leather. You need to let out, and of course, leather, as you know, once you take it out, it leaves marks, so it doesn't really work either way.
Well, in that case, you better find somebody who's a size 2.
And that's impossible. I thought maybe I'll wait until my daughter grows a little older.
Well, that's a possibility too. Let's face it, they may fit a child.
Yeah. When are you coming to Pittsburgh next? I know I missed you last time you came to to Station Square. I couldn't make it.
Well, I come up from time to time to Jelly Rolls because I have an interest in the club, but I haven't done a show in Pittsburgh in a long time.
Yeah, I know you were there. It was Saturday. I couldn't leave work.
I can appreciate that. I'm not sure when I'll be in the area again.
Okay, one quick question. What do you think of the Steelers?
Well, I mean, they're in the playoffs and all that good stuff. I am not a professional sports fan anymore.
All right. Good.
I used to be a professional sports fan.
Yep.
But I think that you have a bunch of crybabies earning incredible amounts of money and then crying because they don't earn any more. And then we have the spectacle, of millionaires or combinations of them with consortiums saying to communities, unless you build me a new place, we're taking our team elsewhere. And they get protection from the law. I think that's absurd. Why should the taxpayers be building stadiums so that men can play children's games at the taxpayers' expense? I have no problem with professional sports. You want a stadium? Build a stadium. Don't hold, well, I've got a franchise, and unless you guys cooperate with me, we're taking it someplace else. It's time that that the laws be changed, and you can't build a stadium for these people. They have to build their own. I got a picture of you going to the city of Pittsburgh and saying, listen, unless you build me a real nice store and do it on my terms and rent it to me for the rent that I want to pay, I'm leaving town. They laugh at you. But professional sports teams, they're blackmailing cities. And I think it's ridiculous. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. We go now to Buffalo, NY. Hello there.
Hello there, Bruce. I'm glad to be calling you.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here, baby. What's on your mind?
I'm calling because my husband and I cannot decide on where to go on a vacation with our 16-month-old baby.
I wouldn't go anywhere with a 16-month-old baby.
That's what every travel agent has said.
Well, I'm saying the same thing. Look, how old are you, honey?
I'm going to be 30.
All right, fine.
Should know better.
This is going to come as a great shock. That kid will get along very well with his grandmother or somebody for a week while you and your husband go up and have a great vacation. There's no place.
My husband, I just called him at work, and he is not going to be happy about hearing that advice.
Why? There's nothing wrong with getting away from your kid for a while.
Oh, I understand that, but what if we have nobody to watch the baby?
You really have no one? Tell the truth.
Well, we have no
Shame
one.
the devil.
I don't want to inconvenience anyone.
Oh, nonsense. How, you have grandparents? Are the grandparents?
Yes.
Chances are they would welcome the opportunity.
Oh, my husband's laughing in his call room right now.
We can laugh. I'm taking my grandson in about 2 weeks. I mean, his older brother, who's about 5, is going on a ski trip with his parents, and I'm going to slip over to Texas and pick him up and bring him back to my house for a week. I think it's great. I'll get acquainted with him. I have no problem with that.
All right. Well,
There is no place that you can go that I know of that a 16-month-old belongs. No place in the whole world.
All right. Let's go with the fact that we can't leave her with anyone.
Stay home.
We'd like to stay home.
Where do you want to go?
Get away. We've got to get away.
Where do you want to go?
Well, we don't want to go to Jamaica because I know you've discouraged people from going.
No, that doesn't mean you shouldn't go.
Well, I trust your opinion.
What are you going to do with this troll when you get where you're going?
She's pretty travel friendly. She's been all over because we've had to go all over with work. We want to. I know I don't have much time, so I want to get as much information out of you.
You got all the time in the world. Where do you want to go?
Either Aruba or I would think maybe a cruise because it would be a little more oriented towards a child.
A cruise is oriented toward a kid? This is a kid. Right, look, you're not going to like what I'm going to tell you. This is not a person yet.
Oh, yeah.
They are not. I had 5 of them. I'm not anti-child. But 16-month-olds they have nothing going for them in terms of she will remember nothing.
No, remember.
She enjoys tactile things. That's it.
But
she doesn't belong on a cruise either. And let me tell you something. I would be mad as hell if you were next door to me. You're laughing. Babies cry from time to time.
I'm a believer in what you say, and I'm a fan of yours. My husband's a first-time listener.
Uh-oh.
So he's going to say, who the heck is this guy?
Well, a guy that's traveled probably more than he has.
Okay.
I was on the auto train the other day. I came up from Florida. Mm-hmm. And the real nice lady, I had a bedroom. I will not ride that coach thing, okay?
Right.
And a lady next door, she comes over and says, hey, I've got this little child. I said, I'm going to slip up a big bunch of Dramamine because I don't,
We don't have a problem with that.
Hear them cry through the walls. Well, a cruise is very inappropriate. Let's start with that. If you go to one of you mentioned Aruba.
All right.
Where are you going to go?
Well.
You're going to go on the beach with a 16-month-old day? You cook it.
That's exactly.
You're going to go to the restaurants, you will be not welcome.
All right. So you have no suggestions along with every other travel agent that was...
No, ma'am. The reality is a 16-month-old youngster does, unless you can take a nanny with you,
Okay.
does not belong on a vacation. It's not fair to you, and it's not fair to the other people. But that's a fact.
Okay.
It's not. I mean, I enjoy going to Disney, but a 16-month-old doesn't belong. I see people lugging kids around in backpacks. I think that's child abuse.
Okay.
I really mean that. My kids got lugged. I mean, the youngest was on a cruise when he was on the France, would you believe? And then that was the queen of all ships. But the youngest, I had 5 children, so I'm not anti-kid.
Do you still have 5 children?
Well, I like to think I have 5 adults. Sometimes I wonder, but the point is, I think Michael was my youngest, and he was about 3.5 on a cruise. And he was too young. And we were taking the ship to go from point A to point B. The fact that it was, it was going where I wanted to go was kind of nice.
Not for recreation.
Well, we had a great time, don't misunderstand me. But it was transportation. But you also had old enough kids to look after the others. And I was a little more strict with my children than most people. I remember very vividly when my eldest was like 4 and the other guy was about going on 3. I sat them in a chair in a store and said, I'll be back. And 2.5 hours later, they were still in the chair. I'm serious. That's the way I ran things.
Well,
and I don't think anybody has a bent psyche, and 3 out of the 5 are business partners of mine.
Well, this is disappointing that...
Just having children is a great experience. And they are portable. I don't mind taking them to the bowling alley and let them sit there while you're bowling and stuff. But lugging them down to Aruba, and then there's some other problems, very frankly, when you start going to some of these places, that the medical facilities are not what I would be comfortable with a small child if something were to happen.
Okay.
And that's the same, and that's true on a cruise ship as well.
But okay.
They have physicians, and the last cruise I was on, very competent physicians. The cruise I went on before that, and that's what I went to last year, I took my surgeon with me. He's a very good guy, but I took him with me on the cruise. You're laughing. My health was precarious, and I took him with me. I wasn't going to trust myself to that third world surgeon.
All right. Well, then this is the advice that you're giving, and I respect your...
The advice you're getting from everybody else, right?
Well, we were wondering why travel agents weren't giving us any information when it came to children that young. Everything was for at least 4 and up.
Well, because they become people about that age.
Okay.
Much under 3, they are really not people. And furthermore, they're nice little animals, but they are inconvenient for others.
Well,
who wants to hear a crying child in the middle of the night? And kids, the best families, cry in the middle of the night and think it's colicky or whatever.
This is true.
And I don't want to hear it in the next room when I'm paying $300 a night for a room.
That's true.
Louse, when you can louse up all sorts of exciting things you're doing with a kid crying in the next room. No, I think really, seriously, before I let you go, I think you and your husband deserve a vacation. But leave the kid home. She's not going to miss you. That's going to come as a great shock, too. Not old enough to miss you particularly. Grandma can take care of her for a week. You guys go out and have a romantic interlude. Who knows? She may have a sibling 9 months from now. But taking a youngster that age to Aruba or to Curacao or on a cruise ship, in my opinion, major league mistake. I'm sure I'll hear from all kinds of mothers and young parents say, you don't know what you're talking about. But I believe I do. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I was thinking about that last conversation. I'm sure that young mother didn't agree with me, but, if you go into Denny's or into a McDonald's or a Wendy's, hey, that's fine with the booster chairs. You expect to find young families. But not too long ago, a month or so ago, I went in with some friends into a rather nice restaurant, a fairly expensive restaurant. They put us in a small dining room, which is not, with a family with 2 kids. And the kids were carrying on, and I had the table moved. And the father came over and said, I don't blame you a bit. I wouldn't want to pay this kind of money and listen to this. And I would have done this, well, with my kids, I don't think it would have been happening, but that's another program. But the point is, there are appropriate places for children, and there are inappropriate. When someone spends a good deal of money to go on an expensive vacation, why should they be exposed to a crying 16-month-old? It takes nothing away from the kid. They'll get over that disease. And I think it's better to go by yourself anyway. Bel Air, Ohio. Hello there. Bel Air, are you there? Danbury, Connecticut, let's try.
Hi, Bruce. Thanks
Hello
for taking my call.
You're most welcome. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm just hoping that you can share some of your insights, objective insights, or give some opinions on my situation.
Well, let's talk because time is a very critical item here.
Okay. My company is closing my plant up here in the Northeast and relocating south.
Where is south?
Virginia.
Okay.
So what will be happening is I'm here in the final cleanup stages, and in April I have no more place to come to, so I have to go down there.
Okay, but they are transferring you.
That's correct.
That's fine.
My wife wants to stay until June until the children are out of school.
That's cool.
And pardon?
That's fine.
Okay, and I'm just wondering how reasonable is it for me? Well, another situation is if the house doesn't sell, it'll be turned over to an equity organization, so I'll get
that's good. Okay.
Price. And I'm just wondering how reasonable is it for me to expect to be able to market the home now with someone not being able to take occupancy until June? And the reason I'd like to, of course, I'm obligated to market it if I can.
Well, what do you have to lose? That's one of the conditions of a sale. Not available through June as a practical matter. Let's assume that somebody that comes in, they're really giving you the right price, right?
Mm-hmm.
You sell it to them. You leave your wife there with a bit of motel or something. Do you have relatives in that part of the world?
Not exactly where she wants to stay to finish school.
Oh, who's going to know that you move for a couple of them? How far away are your relatives?
Well, it's about an hour and a half.
Well, that's too far.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, but you must have friends.
In terms of where staying with?
Yeah.
Not where we could move the brood in.
How many kids do you have?
4.
Well, that would be a problem.
Yeah.
If worse came to worse, you move into a hotel or move into a motel for a month. I mean, if the price was real right, let's assume, what are you asking for your house?
Well, we're hoping we can get in the neighborhood of 165, 170.
Well, suppose somebody comes in, they offer the full price 170. They got to get in 1st of June.
Yeah.
1st of May, we'll say. All right, let's look at that. You go to one of these executive type suites, like the the kind I'm talking about. Who am I thinking of? Marriott offers them. Sure. And you move your wife into there for a month. Maybe it'll cost you $1,500.
Yeah.
You're still way ahead of the game, aren't you?
Yeah.
Maybe a little tight, but so what?
But I was just curious how reasonable it was to market something.
I put it on the market right away.
Okay.
And if you may very well find somebody who says, sure, I can wait. But suppose somebody says, I got to be in May 1st, but they're willing to pay full price. For goodness sakes, you just got to spend $2,000 to win $10,000 or $12,000. That's business. A little inconvenient. The kids would find it be an adventure. I got news for you. Hey, Danny and I are going no place. 800-743-8000 is our number. We're going to be here for the next 5 hours. I do hope you join me. Now, it's not easy, children, but give it your best shot. Try and do what's right. I'm Bruce Williams. Keep it.
Yeah, I have to call you back.
Okay.
You just hang on a minute. Sheila's going to buzz you right back because the quality of our line leaves a lot to be desired. Now, I want to get back to Nichols in just a moment. In the meantime, I'm going to Toledo. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Yes, sir.
How you doing?
I am doing well, thank you.
That's good. I'm a first-time caller, but I've been listening to you for quite a while.
Let us speak.
Having a little problem with the bank. Recently, my wife went in to cash in some savings bonds. They were 3 of them. They were quite old.
United States savings bonds.
Correct.
Okay. When you say quite old, how old?
Well, I don't know the actual date that they were purchased, but they were worth about twice the face value.
Go ahead, because after a certain period of time, they stop earning interest. That's why I asked the question.
Well, there was one face value of 1 for 50 and 2 for 25.
Well, they're relatively new then.
Okay.
Because the old 1875s and
I didn't need that old. I just like within 20 years.
Well, and they would be still collecting interest, I believe. I don't know that, but I believe so.
Okay. Well, they were when we cashed them in. It turned out that they were worth about twice their face value.
Okay.
So that would be roughly $200. Well, when my wife got them cashed in, she didn't know what they were worth, and she was just getting them cashed in to pay for bills. And it turned out that the clerk mistook one of the $25 ones for a $50 one and gave her an extra $50.
Okay.
And her not knowing that at the time, because, like I said, she didn't know what they were worth, and she just was applying them right to some bills. Never knew anything about it. About 3-4 months later, we got a letter from the bank saying that we owed them the $50 that they gave us by mistake.
Well, is there any question in your mind about that?
No, I don't know. I don't have the original transaction from getting them cashed in, but they sent us a copy, and I agree that they probably did give us an extra $50.
All right.
Which was no problem with me. I can agree that we do probably owe them.
Not probably.
Okay, we do owe them then.
All right.
But they wanted the money right away, and of course we didn't have the money.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked if we could work out some kind of a, give them so much a month, to make up the difference.
Well, how much money's involved here?
Just $50. I mean, to us that's a lot of money,
mm-hmm.
but to the bank I'm sure that's almost nothing. But what I was wondering is, I told them I could pay them a little bit a month because I got like 3 installment loans there, and when I go in to pay on my loans, I could just pay a little bit extra for that.
Mm-hmm.
They said that would be no problem. Well, the first I haven't been able to. The first few times I just sent the money, or for the loans, I just didn't go in there. I just sent it in the mail to them. So I didn't want to include the money and not have them know what it was going for, because it was the individual bank was the branch is the one I was dealing with.
All right, go. Accelerate just a little. I'm not sure where we're going with all this.
Well, okay. They just sent me a letter today, or a couple of days ago, saying that they've debited my account. And the money I have in my checking account is, I don't keep extra money in there. It's just enough to pay for bills. Because
so now you're going to have some checks bouncing.
Right. And I just was wondering if can they legally debit my account?
I don't really think they can in this instance. They could take the position that the reasons they cashed the bonds was because you were an account holder there and so on and so forth. But my position would be that every bank is supposed to that issues bonds is supposed to cash bonds without regard to the fact that that you're a customer, and that you didn't give them that you had worked out an arrangement to repay them the money that they gave you erroneously, and that I'm not sure you get away with that. The other alternative would be, frankly, just to add this to your existing loans. That would be the easy way to handle this.
Right.
To add the $50 to your existing loans. And that's what I would suggest to them. You guys want to clear your books. We understand that. We are, however, just not in a position to give you the money. So the way to handle the thing would be just to increase our existing loan balance by $50. You'll get paid, and there'll be no problem.
Okay. Well, the question I had originally, I mean, I agree that they made a mistake in our favor, but
I understand. You're saying, do they have the right to debit your account? And I'm saying probably not.
Right.
But the answer would be to loan you $50.
Right.
Then they would put that money back in your account, increase your loan balance on one of your loans by $50, and everybody's happy.
Right. But there would be no way of just going back and telling them, it was your mistake in the beginning.
Well, you could tell them that, but how are you going to make them do it?
Right.
That's why I'm suggesting a compromise that everybody wins.
Okay. Well, how can I get them to give me, recredit? If I go in there, if they say that they're not going to...
Well, no, you're not listening to me. Now, listen very closely. You can't force them to do anything without going to court or going to... It's just a big pain for $50.
Right.
But you say to us, $50 is a big deal right now. Now, we realize you don't want to horse around with a little payment to get even again. So just all we want you to do is give us a $50 loan, an extra $50, increase the balance on one of our existing notes by $50. Give us the $50, and we'll pay it off in conjunction with the other loan.
Okay.
Understand?
Yeah, I understand that, but what if they don't agree
to it? If they don't do it, you're stuck.
Ah.
That's what it comes down to.
And then...
You're stuck.
Then...
You're stuck.
Charges they give me for non-sufficient funds would be even...
You're going to have to get the money somewhere and cover your checks.
Okay.
And explain that to them.
Yeah, okay, I guess you answered my main question. That was, is it legal for them to...
I don't see any... Legal or not doesn't matter.
Right.
Until somebody rules on it. It's going to cost you more than the $50 is worth.
Right.
Take good care, kid.
Okay, well, thanks a lot.
All right, baby, I'm Bruce Williams. And yeah, this is Talknet. All righty, we're going to try Nichols, Iowa one more time. Hello there.
Oh.
Hi, I got a feeling the phone... Do you have a cheap phone?
Well, the one upstairs isn't she? I don't think so.
Well, what, are you in the upstairs phone?
Yes, I am.
On a good old Bell Tel?
On a good old
American
Bell
Telegraph phone?
Yes. Are you still having a problem hearing
Yeah,
me?
it sounds like you're talking on one of those $2.95 Japanese phones. Anyway, let's try.
Okay, anyway, let's try.
The kind they give you with a magazine subscription, you know? Cheap magazine? Yeah, go ahead.
January of this year, I was involved in a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I was hit by a drunk driver with no driver's license, no insurance, the whole bit.
Oh, you pick a good one, huh?
Oh, boy, this is the second time I've picked one like this.
Did he own the car?
Well, he owned a truck that was probably 15 or 20 years old.
But he owned the vehicle he hit you in?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so it's all him.
Yeah, well, it's him and the tavern, I think. He was drinking.
I see. You're going to allege that the tavern shouldn't have served him and all that stuff.
Right. Right. Okay. The problem is this guy has nothing.
Well, do you have uninsured motorists in your state?
We do.
Protection? Well, then you can proceed that way.
Well, that isn't working so well.
Why is it not working so well?
Well, apparently we have an exclusion in our policy that excludes a specific exclusion for coverage of punitive and explanatory damages.
Yeah, that's all you can do is go after your real damages. What makes you believe you're entitled to punitive damages?
I snapped my neck. I've had a little problem with my neck.
But that's not punitive. We're talking about punitive damages.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand what punitive
They're
is.
punishment. In other words, let's assume you have $1 that for whatever reason your neck is worth $1. Punitive damages go say, but by gosh, this guy was such a bad person, we ought to punish him, and we'll get $3 for punishment.
Okay.
That has nothing. If you have medical bills and all that kind of good stuff, that should cover you for your damages.
Okay.
But you won't get extra for punitive damages. Now, you may be able to go after the person who served them the liquor on the basis they should have not served them because he was clearly under the influence and so on and so forth.
Okay.
But let's talk about you. I understand it's your body, and we all get a little bit parochial about our own injuries. But let's be real. I'm going to put I'm going to get myself into my judge's uniform, and can you imagine the judicial system with me as a judge? What a crime! But anyway, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. What were your medical bills?
My medical bills were under $200. And I'm not alleging that I'm.
Well, what are you going to sue for? How much did you miss work? How much did you lose there?
About a day and a half.
Well, that's not much money.
No.
Any permanent injuries for $200? It's hard to believe there are any.
No.
Well, what are you going to sue for?
Well,
so far you got an empty wallet, Charlie.
Well, so far, I'd like to recover the cost of my car, which was totaled.
Did you have insurance on your car?
I did.
Well, then you collect from the insurance company. Then you just lose the deductible. How much deductible?
I think it was $100.
Well, now we're up to $300 plus a day and a half's pay.
Okay.
Not exactly a lot of money.
Okay, no, but our car insurance paid us Blue Book price for our car.
That's all you're entitled to. You may say my car was a cream puff and it was a super car, but the book is what the car is worth.
We certainly wasn't able to pay, replace it for that.
I understand that. But what do you mean? How old was your car?
5 years.
Well, unhappily, love, you got to go by the book value. You can say, well, my car was a cream puff, and you may be entitled to a couple more pennies for that, but that's all it amounts to. It's not what it's worth to you. It might have been worth a ton to you. It's what it's worth on the open market, what another legitimate buyer would have paid for that car.
It doesn't seem right that this guy can go out and drink and demolish someone's car and have them lose time from work and not pay, not hasten.
Well, there's nothing to prevent you from suing him, but the fact is, what are you going to collect from him? Does he have anything, this guy?
Not much.
What's he got?
Well, I think he has a whole house, but I don't know much more than that. He has a job.
Well, you can get a judgment against him and then collect on the judgment. Furthermore, you want to punish him in most states. In most states. Now, I don't know about Iowa. if you were to sue him, well, you said he had no driver's license to begin with, right?
Right.
He can't even go for his license. Say most states you get his license lifted, but you can't even do that. He doesn't have one to begin with.
Yeah.
This guy's you know what they call something like that? Besides,
You know what I call?
Besides son of a you know what, they call him judgment proof.
Do you think it's worth going after?
No, ma'am, I really don't, because you're gonna win. But what do you win? Can't collect it. Now, what you might find out is if your state is a garnishee state.
It is.
Then you can, if you get a judgment, you can have his wages garnished.
Okay. So you're saying that it's not worth trying to go after?
Well, you might want to make his life a little bit miserable, but this guy is a professional bum anyway to begin with.
And it's not worth going after the tavern on the dram shop?
Well, no, I didn't say that. You're putting words in my mouth. I am less sympathetic with people who sue dram shops and taverns than you. I am thoroughly opposed to drunken driving. Let's start with that, all right?
Yeah.
On the other side, I can sympathize with the guy that runs the tavern, because there are some people who can drink like crazy, and you'd never know I'm sure you must know people like that. Mm-hmm. And they might have had 6 drinks in joint A. They walk into B and have 1 drink. Guy looks perfectly sober. Walks up, let me have a shot of beer. He gets it, and that's the place he leaves, and that's the one you go after. And I'm not as sympathetic with that portion of the law as perhaps I might be, because I think it's very difficult to prove unless the guy only drank in one place. And even then, what makes a bartender able to determine who's drunk and who's not, unless it's clear? But in any case, that's just my point of view. You can go after them and see what you have to get yourself an attorney. You can do that. But you see, we're back to the same thing. I know you want to hear this. You've sustained very little damage.
No, and I realize
the only thing you can sue for is your $100, because in fact, you can't even sue for that, because you've already given the ability to subrogate to your insurance company to collect it from them. So forget about your car. That's over, all right? Mm-hmm. You can't sue anybody for that. Mm-hmm. That right belongs to somebody else. All you can sue for is your medical bills, the time missed from work, whatever pain and suffering you can allege. That's it. Not a whole lot of money.
Not a whole lot. Okay, I appreciate it.
You're looking for justice, honey. You know they say justice is blind. Now you know why.
I know.
I wish you well, dear.
Thanks.
It's a pain in the neck. There are bums like that. They are bums out there. They can do anything because they know they're judgment proof. How about prison? Somebody has no money, does stupid things like this. If you can't punish them in the pocketbook, how about send them to jail? I don't have any problem with that. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Dayton, Ohio, it's your turn. Let's do it on Talknet.
Yeah, hi, Bruce.
Hi.
I got a couple of questions about timeshare.
All right.
I've heard you before. You seem to be so dead set against timeshare. And let me ask you this. If you had an opportunity to buy timeshare at, say, 10 cents on a dollar, or maybe 20 cents or 30 cents.
Well, wait a minute. You just gave me a hell of a range. 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, 50 cents.
I've heard you on the radio before, and you seem to be so dead set that even if you paid a penny on a dollar, you seem to be against it. I just wondered.
Well, a penny on a dollar, you could start to get my attention. But I got to tell you something.
Yeah.
I've had any number of people who have been glad to give you their timeshare just for the outstanding balance.
Well, of course, their balance could be.
That's right.
Too.
That's right. Now, if you could buy it net for a nickel on a dollar, I might get interested at those numbers, or a dime on a dollar. I might be able to get interested. But you realize the timeshare eats is because let's assume that you owe it free and clear.
Right.
That doesn't mean you don't have to write some checks.
Oh, I know it.
You've got to write checks for the maintenance charges. If you want to exchange it, you got to write more checks. If you want to rent it, you got to write more checks to advertise it, and so on and so forth. And then you got to be concerned about the fact that the thing could go belly up at any moment, because there are hundreds of them have. So now you got it for 10 cents on a dollar. So it went out for $15,000. You bought it for $1,500, and 2 weeks later it goes broke. What then? You're still out a lot of money, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Or it goes broke the next year. You're still out a ton of money. I had a guy I knew pretty well. He has recently passed away, and he was one of the exceptions I say, well, you know, there is one exception, because I know this fellow quite well. He had one in the Virgin Islands. I said, Jim used to go down all the time, you know, a certain time of the year. He owned his own business, so he had the ability to choose his vacation, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Just a short time before he passed away, he said, stop using me as an example. I said, how come? He said, they went broke.
Okay, I got another question, timeshare.
Go ahead.
The latest I've seen on timeshares are some of these cases where you can buy a quarter interest instead of buying a week or
What difference does it make?
Well, I know. Okay,
Quarter share. That's just all that means. Just your exposure is now 13 weeks or 12. Actually, it's 12 weeks in most cases, and there's 4 weeks empty, rather than 1 week or 2 weeks. So you've increased your exposure by a factor of anywhere from 6 to 12. What's the big deal there? If it's a bad deal at 2 weeks, why is it a good deal at 12 weeks?
Well, is it a... Well, no, okay. I just wondered if you had some other insight other than what I could see.
I think it's... Look, I think it was a great idea for the promoters. I've said that so often. Now, I know there are a couple of major corporations going to get involved in this, and perhaps they can do something that the others have either elected not to do or could not do. But I don't know the answer to that. But as this conversation is taking place, it is my view, and it's one that I have held since, oh my goodness, the late 70s, which is, you know, not exactly around the corner, that timeshares are only good for those folks who promote them and those rare people, and I mean rare, who enjoy going to the same place year after year at the same time and get lucky and get involved in one of these outfits that stays in business for a long period of time.
If all the
now, that's stretching the odds, isn't it?
Well, if all the units are sold, though, why would they go out of business?
That's the time to go out of business.
Well,
they got their money now.
I know, but
now we're just talking maintenance fees.
Well, I know, but they charge so much for maintenance fees.
Poor management. No. I got to go. But poor management, underestimation of fees to make the deal more attractive. Whole bunch of reasons why they go broke. And people don't pay their bills. A lot of people who bought them say, "To hell with it, I want out," and they just stop paying their bills. What then? No, it's not a very good deal. It's still not a good deal in my judgment. Never was a good deal. Never will be a good deal. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Just enough time to say thank you to Bill and Sheila for doing a super job. Been a good hour, my friends. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet.
Someone to talk to, something to share. Someone you know who will always be there. Tune in, turn on, Talknet. We can.
Well, how you doing, gang? I'm Bruce Williams. Welcome to my world. Welcome to Talknet. Yeah, we talk to you, we talk with you, we talk about your life, your hopes, your ambitions, your dreams, all of the things that make you so very special. So, Boston, the next move is yours. Yeah, when I say Boston, you know I mean the entire greater area that WHDH serves. But no matter where you are within the sound of my voice, all you do is shout 800 and TalkNet into that phone. 1-800-TalkNet or 1-800-825-5638. Either way, we'll be chatting. Hey, I'm delighted you're part of this thing because it's so much a big part of my life. I'm Bruce Williams. Welcome to Talknet. Dearborn, Michigan, it's your turn. You're on top of the hole. Hello there.
Hi. Enjoy your program.
Thank you.
I'm calling regarding the legitimacy of a beauty pageant. My 17-year-old daughter...
who's beautiful, of course.
Oh, definitely. Saw an ad in a national magazine for teens, and she submitted a photo and a brief bio indicating her talents and what have you. Now, my husband and I received a letter, and that letter is addressed to my husband and myself, and it says that our daughter is now in stage 2 of the proceeding.
How much?
Well, they're not asking for anything.
All right. So far, so good.
Okay.
The Williams litmus test, when they want to check, walk away.
What's that?
The Williams litmus test.
Okay.
When they're looking for money, take a hike.
Okay.
So far, no money, huh?
No.
Who is
no.
this? Is the sponsor of this test the magazine? I'm sorry, of this contest the magazine, or is the sponsor just simply an advertiser?
An advertisement.
Well, that doesn't mean a thing, because most magazines, unlike some other media, just you want to put an ad in, you get the check, it doesn't bounce, you can put the ad in. That is not meant to be a condemnation. It's just meant to be a fact, or reporting of, as I understand the facts.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, the fact that it's in a great magazine doesn't make it legit.
Right, right.
So she's in stage 2. Now, what do they want in stage 2?
Well, the letter indicates that she has been accepted for national competition, and she is eligible. Not only is she eligible, but our entire family is eligible for a trip to the Caribbean and cash prizes and.
Keep going. I want to know where the hook is.
Okay.
Take me to the hook here.
Okay, and over $65,000 in cash
Take
prizes.
me to the hook. I don't want to hear.
Scholarship.
I don't want to hear what you can get. I want to hear what they get.
Well, so far they haven't asked for.
Well, what is stage 2? What do you do? What do you do to progress to
we
stage
have to
3?
do. Okay, the letter indicates that what my husband and myself. What we have to do is call them and acknowledge the letter, and we have the approval. That she has.
Yeah, go ahead. What else?
And that's it.
Well, have you called them yet?
No, no.
Well, why don't you call them, because they're liable to say get your credit card out and that kind of. I don't know the answer to that. Call them and find out.
Okay. I was just wondering if perhaps because we did call the Better Business Bureau and
call them and how they are not going to come up to the telephone line and pick your pocket.
Right.
All you do is talk, and there's a big word that I'm sure your mother taught you on your first date. What was the biggest word your mother wanted you to understand on your first date?
Say no.
That's right. Well, it's the same story here, honey. Call them and see what they got to say.
Okay, so then if they want money right away, what just?
N-O.
Yeah.
N-O. But I'll tell you what. Will you make that call tomorrow?
Yes, I'm going to call.
Well, and then Sheila's going to give you a telephone number.
Okay.
And tomorrow night, just about this time, Sheila's going to call you.
Okay.
You'll give us your home phone number, and we'll put you back on, and we'll see where we are. Fair enough?
Oh, that sounds great.
All right,
okay.
you hold on, and we're going to give you a call back. Tomorrow you're going to call and find out precisely what these rascals want or don't want. It may be perfectly legit, and they're going to say, you're a nice lady, and we just wanted your approval, and we'll continue. Or they're liable to say, well, there's a minor registration fee. That's your next-born child and a mortgage. Well, we'll find out. To be continued. Quincy, Massachusetts. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Bruce, I hope you're my savior.
Well, boy, that's a tough item. What have you been up to?
We have a group of 4 of us out of Quincy, Mass. and surrounds that have bought property in Houston.
All right.
Now, to protect the group, we have been attempting to find liability insurance.
When you say property, could you be a tad more specific?
Oh, residential real estate.
Is it occupied?
Yes, they are all occupied. And we're trying to get general liability on the group.
Mm-hmm. And what's the problem?
Well, the problem is my agent had tried through, I don't know if you want me to name the insurance
No,
company.
I do not. I do not. First of all, is your agent in Texas or Massachusetts?
The agent here in Massachusetts.
Well, that's the first mistake. Go ahead.
So the first start. And he went through the channels and said that because Texas is like a whole other country within itself when it comes to insurance.
Why? No, wait a minute. Did you get it? Oh, a simple question. You're a businessman and you're smart. Did you contact a Texas agent? You personally?
Yes.
And what happened?
And he says he can't get it for us.
Why?
I'm not getting a good, rational answer.
Well, you're laughing. I mean, I can get you insurance tomorrow morning, I promise you.
Oh.
You're going to pay for it. It's going to cost you through the nose.
Oh, not through the nose.
Oh, through the nose and nostrils and ears, but you can get it through an excess lines broker. I mean, I don't know what the problem is. I know I own property in Texas, and I have no problem getting liability insurance.
Okay, and you live outside of Texas?
I live outside of Texas, but I own a business in Texas.
All right.
And I've had no problem getting insurance.
So we should not have a problem.
Well, I don't know that. Why don't you hang on a minute, okay?
All right.
Now, we've got a lot of stations in Texas. Let me hear from a Texas insurance broker.
And let me see. Yes, he's in the proper line. I can put you in. Matter of fact, if you're an insurance broker, and let me hold it, Quincy. Are you there, Quincy? Well, yeah. Listen, if we can find a broker that'll handle it, which we put you two together.
Yes, we can.
Let's see what we can find out here. There's a chance you pick up an account, insurance brokers, and we take no liability for this whole nonsense. The number's 212-245-6040. 212-245-6040. If you're listening in, it could be in Dallas or in Houston on K-News, Dallas and Cliff, maybe over in Austin on KLBJ, or in Longview on KEES, and we got stations all over Texas, El Paso, and hey, all you do is give me a call at 212-245-6040. We may have a potential client on the phone for you, or alternatively, explain to my friend in Quincy why he can't get liability insurance on property that's occupied and managed properly in Houston. I don't understand that. 212-245-6040. I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. When we get back, hopefully I'll have a broker here from Texas. This is Talknet. I have an insurance guy from Texas. I am really disappointed. I mean, what is going on in Arlington and Fort Worth and Houston? And maybe there's a lot of ball games tonight. I don't know. But we do have an insurance guy from Maryland. Hello there.
Hi there, Bruce. How are you
on your cellular phone. What else?
Yeah, well, on the way back to the office.
I hear you.
Your gentleman's problem, if most of the independent agents or a member of an association can make referrals back and forth, Texas does have its own set of rate filings and rules, etc.
I am well aware of that.
Yeah, everybody in the insurance business is as well. But regardless, if he just contacts an independent agent in the local area, given that the properties, if there's no unusual hazards, they are occupied and they're managed, general liability is not even fire insurance. It should not be expected. Anybody specializing in personal lines, homeowners.
And Tom Doyle. I'm chatting with a gentleman in West Bloomfield, Michigan. He bought himself a house, but he bought the property from the developer who had an older house. You know, they subdivided a piece of property. The wind-up was he gave the developer an easement to go across his property for a sewer line. And the developer put the sewer in, but presto changeo, left a lot of disaster behind. Is that the size of it?
That's the size of it.
And then on top of this, the developer would like the town to accept the sewer line.
That's right.
So they would maintain it and so on and so forth.
And he would also get his final certificate of occupancy on the last house on the line.
All right.
Which brings me to the point. Fortunately, the developer didn't have a lawyer either. He was a very smart builder, and he just wrote out an easement saying, this is what I need for the township. And they said, sorry, that's not good enough. So they
want you to give a proper easement, and you're saying, the heck with you guys, I ain't giving nothing until such time as that yard of mine looks the way I want it to look.
Now, that's just what I said to the planning engineer.
Good girl.
And
knock 'em dead. What'd they say?
Well, he threatened me that I'm illegally tapped into the sewer, and of course I pay the sewer bills and the tap-in fees.
Oh, you can tell him. Go ahead. You say you're illegally tapped in. How did you get illegally tapped in?
I got illegally tapped in by paying my tap-in fees and my sewer fees.
So why are you illegally tapped in?
Because I won't let them have an easement.
Get the hell with them. I'll just tell them, look, you got a lawyer?
I have a lawyer.
Well, you're a lawyer. You shouldn't be doing this. Your lawyer ought to be talking to him.
Okay.
And just tell him, look, my client wants his property put in the proper condition. He has a right for that.
Okay.
That's all.
Yeah, I was wondering if I could avoid the lawyer, but
you want to keep practicing. What do you do for a living?
I tune pianos.
You tune pianos. Well, why would you want a piano tuner when any plumber could do that?
Well, that's true. I understand what you're saying.
Exactly so. Stop trying to beat the attorney out of his fee.
Okay.
Because you're over your head.
Yes.
I mean, you've done well. Don't misunderstand me. But you see, the attorney has something going for him that you'll never have going for you.
That's true.
What's that?
First of all, he knows everyone.
Forget about that. That's true. That's another item. But what's the big thing he's got going?
He knows the law.
He's dispassionate.
And he's dispassionate. That's probably the biggest thing.
That's right.
I was not very dispassionate.
Well, there's no would I be in your case? Of course not. But the attorney can stand back and kind of relax and chew his cud and get the thing done. But I would stand my ground. So I'm tapped in illegally. What are you going to do about it? Cut me a break, guys.
That's a good advice.
I wouldn't sign until that property was the way I wanted it.
That's up. And the developer has the key. Let him send his machine in and grade off and put a few trees in, and you'll be happy, right?
I'll be very happy.
It's a big deal.
Right. I appreciate the advice.
I wish you well, my friend.
Thank you.
All righty. We're going to go to Rochester, New York. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
I got a problem with a condo that I bought down in North Carolina or South Carolina. We put a down payment on it about 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, the developer and the real estate agent have gone broke. And
How nice.
The bank is foreclosed on the building.
Where does that leave you with your down payment?
That's what I want to know.
Well,
I have a
we're back to the same thing. Do you have an attorney in that area?
No.
Why?
I had one in this area, and he looked over the purchase offer before we sent it back.
Yeah.
And he said it was okay.
That's fine, but he doesn't practice law there. I have no quarrel with him looking over a general, but you should have an attorney in the area. What state is the property in?
South Carolina.
Well, that's where you have to hire an attorney. How much money did you put down?
$10,000.
Oh, boy. See, you may be a general creditor.
Well, I'm recorded at the state attorney general, recorded it in the county.
As what?
As a recorded lien holder.
Yeah. But there may be enough people ahead of you where it would be meaningless.
Mm-hmm. The last time I had talked to the attorney general in South Carolina,
right,
he said that probably when they sold the apartment or the condo, that I would get my money back.
It's all right.
But that hasn't happened.
It hasn't been sold, is that it?
It's been sold. The bank sold it. But I don't. My money is.
Were you there bidding?
Pardon?
Were you there bidding on the property?
I didn't know it. I didn't know anything about it. They never let me know.
No, but that's why you would have had. Well, I mean, I don't want to. If you had somebody on site, the likelihood is you'd have known, and you might have been down there forced to bid the price up, or indeed bid in. How much did the thing sell for?
I originally paid $89, and they since have sold for $79.
I mean, you agreed to pay $89. You mean?
Yes.
You only paid $10.
I put $10 down.
Yeah, but you didn't pay any more.
No.
Your max exposure here is $10,000.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you at this point. I think that you've been too little, too late.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for $10,000, if it were me, I'd call a local bar association in that town and say, can you recommend an attorney to me? Or alternatively, call your guy, and he can pull out his guide, and he can find a telephone number, too. Mm-hmm. And tell a guy, I don't want to spend, pick a number, $500 or whatever the number is, but see what you can find out for me. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wouldn't give him a blank check. But for $10,000, I'd be willing to spend 5% of that, 10% of that.
Mm-hmm. Would he take a piece of the, if I got.
You're looking for contingency in a deal like this?
Yeah.
Not a chance.
No.
Not a chance. This is when you got to write a check for.
Uh-huh.
But there's a lesson there, you see.
Yes. You say it often.
Pardon?
You say it often.
Yeah, because you see, I've been burned so often. You're talking to somebody who's been there.
Uh-huh.
And, you know the story. Some people have to smell, when somebody says, oh, there's a hot stove, there are some people like you and me got to smell burning flesh, huh? Well, we both smell the flesh.
Yes, sir.
Get yourself an attorney to investigate it down there. At least you'll know if you're in, you're out, or it's over.
Uh-huh.
They won't be hanging over your head. That'll be worth a couple $100 to you for nothing else, should it not?
Yes, but I got $10,000 now that I hope I can still get back.
Yeah, but that isn't the issue. Is if you're not going to get sitting around hoping, it's not going to mean very much.
Uh-huh.
If the 10 G's is gone, wouldn't you rather know about it and forget it?
Yes, that's true.
That's what I'm trying to get to.
Can I deduct that on my income tax?
I don't know. I do not know. Alrighty, to San Diego, California. What a lovely part of the world. Hello there.
It's gorgeous, Bruce. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Bruce, my wife and I are both attorneys. I am in private practice, and she works for a sole practitioner in town here. She's been there for 10 years, and it seems to me the pay is not what it should be. Mm-hmm. They are engaged in the commercial building and leasing, this sort of thing. And my practice is something altogether different.
What does she do?
She negotiates leases for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the situation is, I had suggested that it might be a good idea to sit down face-to-face with the boss and discuss this.
That's the only way, in my opinion.
Oh, sure. The situation is her salary is approximately $15,000 under what it should be
what
compared to...
What's she earning?
She's making about $25,000 now.
After 10 years?
Right, that's what I said.
Yeah, is she any good?
Oh, yeah. Very good.
Well, why is she putting up with this?
convenience.
Well,
she can walk to work, and everybody there likes her, you know. And
well, that's a hell of a reason to be underpaid.
You and I are thinking alike.
Talk to your wife, kid.
Yeah, the situation is, how would you open the thing up with the boss? I mean,
take him to lunch and start talking. Say, look, I mean, I've been here for 25 or whatever the number of years is, and this is what I'm doing. This is why I think. And first of all, we both know that you've got to be worth whatever you're being paid.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to justify that. I don't care if you're making widgets or grinding glasses or practicing law. You've got to be able to show that what you do generates enough revenue to pay you and make a profit for the boss.
Right.
Now, that may or not be the case, and maybe we can get all the kids out of college we want and that'll can do your wife's job. If that's the case, then she's already topped out.
With that firm.
Yeah, exactly, in that particular job. Now, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your wife. But let's face it, law degree or not, if your wife goes out and becomes a hamburger flipper, she tops out at around so many dollars an hour, doesn't she?
Right.
Now, I don't know if it requires a law degree, very candidly. I don't think it does to negotiate leases.
Well, it does not. There are a number of legal things that are built in, and the firm bills at the rate of $75 an hour for her services, but they're not paying her anywhere near that, obviously.
Well, obviously so, but my point being that you don't need an attorney to negotiate leases.
Right.
And so she's underemployed to that extent. Now, the other side of that, 15% of all lawyers in this country live in California. Isn't that nice?
Right.
I fill you with enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah.
For your profession. How old is your wife?
30.
Well, it seems to me that, wait a minute, she's working at 10 years? Hold on. When did she get her law degree? At 20?
She was a bright star type student. Actually, I guess she's 33.
Okay. Sneaking up on you there.
Yeah.
Getting a little long in the tooth,
You're
this
not
girl.
Quote me on that, are you?
It occurs to me that either she'll have to move on to something else in the firm or move out of the firm.
Well, there's nothing else in the firm. It's just her and this other, and her boss, basically, that do all it.
It would seem to me you sit down with a boss and say, listen, there was a guy named Abraham Lincoln sometime after the middle of the last century who freed the slaves, and he somehow really didn't get around to me. Now, we have to talk. Have a very serious talk about what you're paying me now. It may be that's all you can afford to pay me. If that's the case, I think we both better consider me looking for something else.
Yeah. Would you lay that on just like that, or would...
I'd much prefer that if I were the employer. Be honest with me.
Yeah.
And it may well be, you just say, yeah, but I listen, I love you, but I can hire 50 women coming out of college for this kind of money, and he can.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether they can do the job is another matter, but I mean, law school graduates today are jumping through hoops for $25,000 a year.
Oh, true. Yeah. Well, with 10 years on the job, there's just more money to be made with that kind of tenure.
It would seem so to me. I think the chances are that she'd be looking for a job.
You're a help as always. Thank you very much.
I wish you well, counselor.
Take care. Bye.
Let's move on to Tipton, Indiana. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hello there.
Hi. We listen to you all the time on third shift. We really like hearing you.
Well, thank you.
All night long.
All night long, huh?
Yes. My question is, we built a house in 1966.
Yeah.
And we had made it into a duplex.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the one part built, and then my husband and I finished the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And we added a swimming pool and a huge pole barn, and of course other shrubbery and stuff like that on the place. Well, the house got too small for us, and we started building another house 5 years ago. And
on the same property?
No.
Oh, okay.
A different property.
Yeah.
And we're doing it all ourselves again, which we moved down here, moved to our house when it was just like one room was done. We all stayed in one room and then finished drywalling and all this. We haven't been able to sell our other house in all this time. We've had that for sale. Well, now a couple is wanting to buy it. And we're under the understanding that if we sell it, we can't put it in on this house now.
What do you mean, put it in on?
Well, like we want to pay the mortgage off.
Well, you got to pay some taxes if that's what you mean.
So will we be able to add all the upkeep on that? I mean, whatever profit we make over that one.
No, ma'am. No. If you make a capital gain, that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
You got to pay the taxes.
So we couldn't count it as putting it in on another house.
Well, the expression "putting it in," I'm not sure what that means. You can't mix the two investments very comfortably, no.
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 Well, it's like when if you sell a house, you have to be 55, and then you don't have to.
Yeah, but you're not 55.
No.
And furthermore, it's only a one-time. It's a one-shotter, and it has to be your primary residence. None of these things apply here.
Well, even though that was our primary residence at one time, we still have to count it.
Well, wait a minute. At one time, but then you moved out and started renting it, right?
Now, someone told us if we lived there like within the last 2 years.
No, wait a minute.
No.
Did you start? You lived there and then you rented it to somebody else?
After we moved out, yeah.
Well, after you moved out and rented it, you lost your ability even to roll it over.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's an income property now.
Now it'd be the same. We have some property in Florida that we're going to sell,
Mm-hmm.
and that would probably go into capital gains, and then we just have to pay.
If you make a profit, yes.
Yes, because in a high tax bracket. Do you think we'd be better off just keeping the place?
Well, that I can't tell you. We haven't got time to enter into that to figure out the property is worth hanging on to. But I mean, there are things you can do if you're buying other properties that you can do to avoid taxes temporarily, like going into a three-way trade. But you apparently just want to sell and get your money.
Well, we did.
You can't swing it into the house, the property you already have. At least there's no way that I know that you can.
Yeah.
I wish you well.
All right, thank you.
Hey, listen, be glad you're making a profit.
Yes.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for Talknet. Kansas City. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. I'm a 31-year-old engineer. I work for the government, and I'm thinking about making a career change. I need some advice. I'm thinking about going to law school, but what I heard from your previous caller, I'm not sure if I want to now or not.
Well, the problem with there's always going to be room for one more good attorney, all right? But right now, we have more attorneys than we have fleas on very, very unwashed dogs. Do you realize that in a very short time, we're going to, I forget the year, it comes up maybe next year after next, that 1 out of every 313 people in this country is going to be a lawyer? And furthermore, of all the attorneys practicing in the country, something on the order of over 25% have practiced less than 5 years, which tells you they're going to be around for a long time.
Sounds like there's a lot of young lawyers out
There's
there.
a ton of them out there, that's right. Ton of them. That doesn't mean somebody shouldn't become another young lawyer. But, I mean, if I were looking at a career path, unless I was really, this is what I want to do, I want to be the next Clarence Darrow or Kunstler or whatever, wherever you're going, unless that's what you want to do, I'd have to give it at least a little more thought.
Okay.
Because it is crowded.
I understand the crowding, but it seems like, especially in my field, is mechanical engineering, that the lawyers that I know that graduate in, say, the top 10% of their class are commanding a lot better money than I am.
That's very possible, yeah. If they go to the right law school and they graduate well up in their class, doesn't mean there's not going to be need for lawyers. And then there's some, you say commanding, then you were assuming that they're going to work for somebody else as opposed to working for themselves.
Yes, I'm talking big firms.
Well, how old are you?
31.
You'd be 34 or 35 before you finish school. That's a bit of a problem, too. It would not be too old to go out and practice privately, but it might be very well be difficult to find yourself a job as a novice with a big company. Now, on the plus side, you do have a degree in engineering, and that the two disciplines might marry in some circumstances.
Well, I was looking at product liability in situations where there are design defects.
Oh, that's why I said they might marry. The two disciplines may very well marry. I have a friend who's has dual degree in law and he's a pharmacist, registered pharmacist. Now, that's a pretty nice combination, isn't it?
With all the malpractice, yeah.
Well, it's not so much malpractice as going into laws that when you start to write a deal with a law as regards ethical pharmaceuticals, the fact that he is a pharmacist and is familiar with these terms as contrasted with the average attorney who's got to have somebody look each one of them up, it gives him a big edge, doesn't it?
Certainly.
Well, I mean, so he has a good marriage and will have no problem finding work. There may be that same relationship for you. I don't know.
Okay. It sounds like something that I should get more information on before I make any decision.
I would think so. I would think. And look at it this way. You're going to continue to you're going to go to school nights?
I don't know. I was going to try and take a leave of absence for the first year and then work part-time.
Okay, well, what I'm trying to get to is that, are you single, married, what?
Married, no kids.
Can you afford to do this?
Yes.
What do you lose? So you pick up another discipline, you go through the mental exercise, which is not such a bad thing in the world. How do you come up a loser?
I don't see it as being...
I don't either. I don't see how you lose. I wish you well, kid.
Okay, thank you, Bruce.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for more. We give you what we hope is the very best of conversation radio. We call it Talknet.
Several times during the week, and I really enjoy it.
Thank you, sir. What's on your mind?
Okay, I'm looking at the profession of being a money broker. I'll be starting part-time.
Where did you get this idea? And I bet I can almost tell you.
Through the mail.
Yeah, figures. You saw an ad someplace, right?
Right.
And you answered the ad.
Correct.
That's no way to get in the business.
Oh. How could you point me in the right direction?
Yeah, first of all, get yourself a job.
Okay.
With you're talking about placing mortgages and that sort of thing.
Correct. Putting a lender and a borrower together.
Exactly so, but you're not going to do it through one of these hustles that you see in magazines. Is where either you saw it in one of these shopping newspapers that you see in a supermarket, or one of these magazines devotes themselves to all kinds of opportunities.
Correct.
Stay away.
Okay. Why would you say that, Bruce?
Because you're being hustled. That's why.
All right, just more of a money maker for them.
For them, and not for you.
Oh, okay.
But if you want to go into the secondary mortgage business, it's a very term I'm searching for. It's an enterprise which requires a great deal of knowledge, and there's a lot of overhead.
Okay.
And it's just not to be done the way that these ads would like you to believe. I perused, wrong word, one of these magazines rather diligently this past weekend. And what I had done in the past is I've hired one of our people, but that's poorly put. I've taken one of the people on my staff and have them answer a couple thousand ads. Mm-hmm. And I'm about ready to do it again. Okay. Because there are some new permutations I'm not familiar with. Now, there are some that were there when I was a kid, and let me tell you, that's a long time ago. But the same ads, bake greaseless donuts, sell them to cafes and whatever, right?
Right.
Those ads were running 40 years ago. Mm-hmm. They really were.
And you still see them today?
You see them today, which has got to tell you, a lot of people must be trying to bake greaseless donuts. There are some other pictures of some of, and I don't want to be very specific for obvious reasons, all right?
All right.
They have pictures of some of the founders of the company. Let me tell you something. Those guys didn't look that good when Christ was coming around and making fish dinners. I mean, really. These pictures must have been taken in a what was the guy that did the pictures during the Matthew Brady during the Civil War?
A while back.
And they well that's one guy. I think he's dead. Isn't Charles Atlas gone?
Oh,
I think they buried him. But the point is, here's Charles Atlas flexing his muscles, and some guy still running down a beach getting sand kicked in his face.
Right.
Those things have been around for a ton of time.
Okay.
You got to be that was legit too. I mean, you could build your body up with dynamic tension. I mean, let's look at me. I mean, I'm dynamic tension to death here.
There you go.
I used to send for that stuff. Point is that 99% of that stuff you're being hustled.
Okay.
If you want to make some money, go into the business. Start hustling instead of be a hustler instead of a hustlee.
Okay.
Take good care.
Thank you.
But it's an exercise. I used to answer these ads by the hundreds. And I think when we just opened a new office a short time ago, where we are going to have, I think, sufficient staff to do this, to pursue this kind of stuff. And I think I'm going to take one of the ladies and say, here, take 40 hours and just fill out postcards. And what you do, if you really want to get cute, you key it to different names, to Michael M. Thompson, Michael A. Thompson, Michael B. Thompson, and then you can track the different ways your name has been sold all over the country to this one and to that one, the other one. And you talk about a full mailbox. I mean, your postman then comes in and he files a workers' comp claim against you for hernias. I mean, they'll load you down, but you would be amazed what you can learn. College education? Fantastic. Manteca, California. What's on your mind?
Hi.
Hello.
I have a question about a small claims matter that I'm taking to court next week.
Why are you in court, you rascal?
I do daycare in my home, and I had a family start with me, and they were with me for 5 months. I have 3 children.
I'm sorry?
A family that had 3 children.
You had all 3 of the rascals?
Yeah, 2 of them were school age, and one was a kindergartner.
Uh-huh.
And They had been with me for 5 months, and my contract, I did have a contract that the mother signed, not the father.
Mm-hmm.
The contract stated they needed to be paid 2 weeks in advance or 2 weeks' notice. And I told everybody upon...
No, wait a minute. I don't understand.
Hmm?
I don't quite understand. You said they had to be paid 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
Or put another way, if they want to jerk the kids out of your situation, they're
I
going
have
to
2
give
weeks pay covered.
2 weeks pay. Okay, that's easy.
They always gave me a sad story and never came up with the 2 weeks upfront pay. They were 1 week ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And on a certain Friday, they picked up their children and did not give me a check. And that check would have covered them for overtime that week and the following week, and that would have been their, 2 weeks. It was one check with added amount for overtime. I have a lot of things that are documented because these people were consistently late.
Well, that's not material.
And they had a person that was authorized to pick up their children, drop off their children, and have access, which is the next door neighbor.
All right, that's legit.
Okay. The night before that they left, the Thursday night, I had plans, me and my husband, with another couple, and since this lady had picked the kids up all the time, the mother was late, and I had no idea when the kids were going to get picked up. So I went next door and released the children to the lady next door. She said it was okay, so I went ahead and did it.
Well, wait a minute. You drove over to their home. Is that it?
No, I walked next door.
Oh, these people live right next door to you?
Yeah, they're friends that picks the kids up all the time.
Okay, and they're friends of yours and friends of theirs.
No, not friends of mine.
Friends of theirs. Okay.
Friends of theirs.
Okay, so you said, listen, Mrs. Jones hasn't showed up. Can you take the kids?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I said.
And
she said that was fine, and I'm covered as far as I can see because the mother and father had put these people on the list, and they'd had them pick the kids up.
Okay, and this was after your normal pickup time.
Yes. And he has made a lot of ruckus. Everything was okay.
Who's he?
The father.
On what basis? Because you released
Because I put the children next door, and I was starting to charge them for overtime. And he made a lot of ruckus as to that, and he let it go a whole week until I served them with small claims papers. Then the following week he called licensing, our county licensing service, and put a whole bunch of allegations toward me.
Like what?
Like I was cruel and unusual punishment toward his children.
What cruel and unusual? I want you to hang on. I'll be interested to hear what he thinks is cruel and unusual. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I'm chatting with a lady in Manteca, California. And brought down its essentials, she has a little daycare operation. She has a disgruntled parrot, and the parrot is getting back at her by making complaints. Isn't that about the size of it?
Yeah, what he said...
So what did he said you were punishing the children?
What they had is that his children had been subjected to unusual punishment and humiliation.
What was that?
I wouldn't let their children play in my kids' rooms. They had access to a whole play area full of toys.
And that was, Mark, what else?
I wouldn't let them play on the swing set on the side of the house. Now, I had explained to this gentleman that the reason I didn't let them play on that swing set is because it's on the side of the house. It's not in my visual eye, from the backyard.
That makes sense.
We had tried it, and his kids got too rowdy. And knowing him, he'd be the first one to sue me if something had happened.
Go ahead.
So...
What I don't want to go through the whole how did the county react to all this?
They said as far as they can tell, everything is unfounded, but they haven't sent the final word to me yet.
So nothing you can do about that.
No. What I'm having a problem with is I'm going to court next week on this, and a lot of other things are coming to light. I'm having to deal with my children's elementary school because his children are calling my son names, making comments about me, which are very rude.
Well, that's life. How old is your kid?
He's a kindergartner.
Well, that's life. You got to teach the kid. That's part of having a mother in business. Nothing you can do about that. What else?
I don't know what I can do because I served her and I'm suing her because she signed the contract.
Fine. So you get a judgment against her.
She never says anything.
Pardon me?
She never talked to me the whole time the children came here.
Without regard to that, she's still going to have to answer in court or you win by default.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
If she doesn't show up, you win by default.
Okay. Now, what if I do win by default?
Then you got to collect. How much money's involved?
Okay, what's involved on the contract is $152.37.
Well, you're gonna. Does she?
I had a loss of income. I had to re-advertise.
Well,
it really put me in a position.
Whatever the court allows you, you can go after.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whether California is a garnishee state, I don't know.
Yeah.
If it is, you can try to garnishee her salary or attach their car or anything, or their bank account. They pay you by check.
Yeah, they pay.
Well, then you know where they bank.
Mm-hmm.
You can try to attach their bank account.
Now, if I do win the default and I claim on the judgment, do I have to go through the collection, or does the court do that?
No, ma'am, you got to.
I have to.
You bet. Now,
Okay.
they may or may not, depending on your state, they may or may not be some assistance to you, but the ultimate responsibility is yours. And something like 70% of all the small claims judgments in this country are not collected. It's not too hard to get the judgment, much more difficult to collect. But I'd go after them, and I wouldn't. As far as your youngster in school, hey, that's just part of being in business and part of life, and I wouldn't lose a lot of sleep. It's explained to him that this is what's happening, and don't pay any attention. I know it's easier to say than to accomplish, but unfortunately, that's the way it has to be. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. San Jose, California. Hello.
Mr. Williams, it's really a pleasure.
Well, thank you.
Boy, I tell you, I've listened to you all the time. I wish you could be on 24 hours a day.
Oh, my goodness. What, the world is not ready for that. What can I do for you today?
Okay, I bought a house, well, my family and I bought a house about 10 years ago. Now, the family, in their good graces, are going to sign it all over to me.
All right, now, this is, when you say family, mother, father, that sort of jazz?
Mother, father, yes.
All right.
Okay, the interest rate was 8 3/4. I have $28,000 left on the original mortgage.
Yeah.
I'm contemplating either refinancing for about $100,000, pay off the original, and do some improvements.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to bounce this off you and see if you think that's a good idea, whether go fixed rate or adjustable rate mortgage.
Well, you see, there's a whole bunch of problems here, and I think one you haven't addressed, I don't think. And so I'll spring that on you last, all right?
Okay.
Currently, as these words are being spoken, we are in what's called an upside-down environment, where actually fixed rates are less expensive than adjustable rates. And the reason for that is because the Fed is tightening up on short-term credit, so short-term money costs more than long-term money, which is just the opposite of what it usually is.
Okay.
You're aware of that?
Yes.
Okay, so in that case right now, the likelihood is a fixed mortgage is the way to go. But let me ask this of you. You got the house 10 years ago.
Right.
What was it worth then?
Well, I got it for $51,500.
All right. And that was how many people involved?
Well, my mother, my father, myself.
All right, that's 3 people.
Right.
Okay. Now, what is the house worth today?
2 1/4, $275.
All right. Well, let's say $250 for the sake of discussion. There's a $200,000 gross profit there.
Mm-hmm.
How are we getting that money from your parents to you? They just can't give it to you. Big chunk of taxes are due now.
Is the term grant deed applicable in this?
The deed has nothing to do with anything.
Oh.
You are transferring value. Now, you can't do that without a taxable event unless you do it very carefully.
So you're recommending, or I'm assuming you're recommending go through a lawyer, a real estate lawyer on
Well, I always suggest that. No, you need you need a decent accountant to work this out.
Uh-huh.
Because if it isn't done properly, your parents are going to wind up with a big tax obligation because the tax is on the giver.
Ooh.
And then round numbers, we were dealing in $200,000, 1/3 of which is yours already. That would be $65,000 rounds, right? So there's $130,000 which you're being given.
Wow.
The most they can give you is $20,000 in 1 year.
I see.
Now, they may be able to claim against their lifetime exemption. There are a couple of ways around this, but if you just do it the way you're describing, somebody's going to owe a ton of taxes.
Okay. So you recommend go through a good tax man on this?
Oh, before you do anything.
Okay.
Before you make the move, absolutely.
Okay.
And I always believe there should be an attorney involved.
Okay. And
but there could be a very big taxable event coming up.
Okay, real quick, if I do everything the way you say and everything looks good, do you think a salary of about $33,000 a year would be able to cover a $100,000 loan?
Not a chance.
Ooh.
Not a chance.
I have to redo my figures then.
Well, you're talking about over 3 times your annual income. Not on your best day. We'll be doing nothing but taking mortgage payments.
Okay. Well, I'm sure glad I talked to you.
65,000 maybe. Mortgage, but no more than that.
That's still workable for the improvements I plan on doing.
Uh-huh. No,
Okay.
That should be maxed out at that point. Okay. And the next question is, very quickly, you said the house is worth $250,000.
Correct.
How much are you going to put in mortgage in improvements? 50, 60?
Approximately 50 to 60,000.
How much is the house worth then?
Oh, you're talking about over improving for the area?
Yeah. Is it now worth 310 or 300?
Probably about 300,000 then.
Is it worth that much? Is it going to add that much to the sale price? Because it sometimes doesn't. Oftentimes doesn't.
Well, see, that I don't know.
Well, you ought to get yourself somebody in there who can tell you. Because if it doesn't, maybe you better off to sell the house and go into something else.
Well, I have talked to a real estate agent on that, and all they could do with that would be move me into a comparable, the same size house with higher mortgage and higher taxes.
Well, the mortgage is going to be higher anyway.
All right.
The taxes will be lower because of the, was it Proposition 13, I guess it was. Right?
Well, that was then. I'm under Prop 13 now.
Yes, so if you go to a new house, you won't be under Prop 13. That's what I'm getting to.
I would not or would?
You would not be.
That's correct.
So you'd have to pay higher taxes because of a new purchase.
True.
But the point being, what I'm trying to get to, and I must turn you loose, is it wise to pump $50,000 into this house? It may be, but it may not be.
Well, it's ideally located, and I do like the area.
Well, I'm just pointing out that may or may not be wise.
Okay.
That's all.
Well, thank you so much.
Good luck, but take a look at the tax situation before you move. Peoria, Illinois, hello there.
Hello, Bruce. How are you?
I am well.
Good. This may be a little too complicated to get to in the length of time that we have left, but I'll try.
All right, let's take a deep breath, and you got 60 seconds. Go.
My father was a doctor, reasonably successful.
You mean a physician?
I'm sorry?
Physician.
A physician.
Okay.
A neurosurgeon.
There's a lot of doctors out there other than physicians. Go ahead.
A neurosurgeon.
Okay.
My father, about 10 years ago, a little more than 10 years ago, became, I guess, for lack of a better word, a partner in an offshore insurance company.
All right.
Along with several other doctors.
Okay.
In the same clinic.
We're looking for some tax shelter.
Looking for some tax shelter, I guess.
I'm sure.
My father died just a little over a year ago, and I just got a notice a few weeks ago from the trustee of this insurance company telling me that he had $1,175,000 in cash ready for me whenever, if ever, I wanted to pick it up. This is money. I've been able to determine this much. My father never paid tax on it. That I'm sure.
Yeah.
He did declare it as an expense. Of that, I'm positive.
Mm-hmm.
The insurance company is legitimate in as much as it can be. They never paid a claim. But the only owners were all of these doctors.
Did they write any business?
Only to themselves.
I see.
They if you see, you know a lot more than I do. They only paid premiums to their own insurance company. They never took premiums from anyone else.
I understand. And they insured themselves.
They insured themselves.
And then your father declared the insurance premiums, which are probably outrageous, as business deductions.
That's correct.
And then the company prospers outside the tax man, but getting the money back in this country could be a little bit tricky.
It's very tricky.
As a matter of fact, they just might view this as fraudulent.
I'm sure they would. My question is, here, I've got all this cash, and I won't tell you about the money I found in the house.
Question.
More than serious. But what do I do to convince this fellow to see the error of his way?
You walk in and say, give me my money, man.
And if he says no?
Take a look at my size 18 neck.
I don't have one.
Well, grow one. Start lifting weights. I don't know. This is a business proposition, and you stop in. I mean, the guy sounds like, at the very least, he's irresponsible. At the worst, he's...
Believe it or not, he's a sales manager there.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
But I just stop by and say, hey, I don't want to check cash.
Mm-hmm.
In God we trust, all is give us cash.
And what recourse do I have if he refuses at that point and says I never intended to back out of the deal, you backed out?
Well, then in the case
My word.
It's your word against his, and you can decide whether it's worth, causing a big fuss in the dealership, talking to his boss, saying this guy was conducting private business on your time. So I had to assume that there was some connection with you, whether you did or whether you didn't. Let him argue the other way.
Is this worth going to small claims court?
I don't know. It's $50 worth going for. I can't answer that question. You have to answer.
Yeah.
You see, there's that's a two-part question. The other part of that question is it worth $50 to make this guy's life miserable?
You've made mine a little bit miserable.
Well,
I'm a bit rankled about this.
In that case, maybe it is, just on that basis. I wish you well.
Okay, Bruce, thank you very much.
I'm Bruce Williams. Stick around for Talknet. Horseheads, New York. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hi.
Hello, Bruce. You there?
Yeah, I'm hanging on your every word, Daddy.
Okay. My name is Mike. I have a little problem with a major credit card.
What's the problem, Mike?
Well, normally I use it as a convenience only. If I need to, I order fishing supplies and things like that, mail order.
I always said if you have to order fishing supplies, you'll have a credit card. Right, I got you.
Sometimes it comes in handy.
Onward and upward, Mike. Where are we going with this?
Bill comes in, I pay it. I keep a zero balance.
Okay.
Within 2 days of each other, I called Florida for a $115 order, and I called Indiana for a $50 order.
All right.
I have a credit limit of $2,500 on this card.
Okay, sounds like you're well within your limits. We have a time problem, Mike, so kind of accelerate here.
Both places rejected the card.
Why?
They said that it was invalid account number, and what they said that means is that the credit limit was reached. I called my local bank. I just found this out and called the bank today.
Yeah.
And they said they couldn't understand it. They said the account is one of the best accounts they've seen. Punched it up on the screen. I just want to make sure I'm covering all my bases.
Well, you go back to them and say, first of all, you sure you gave them the right account number?
Positive.
And secondly, then somewhere there is a glitch in the computer. It's happened to me, where I've gone in to charge something, so they run the card through the machine, it comes back, credit limits used, and on one particular card, I know that it's a Visa card, I got $16,000 credit line. If I ever spent that much, I would have a cardiac arrest.
Right.
And it goes through and gets rejected. And you call back 10 seconds later and it gets okay.
Both of these places have punched it in twice.
Well, why don't you do this? Just as a little test, okay? Well, after you hang up the telephone, go on down to some store that uses a Visa card. Or whatever.
I did that.
And?
I did that. A friend of mine runs a business in town.
And what happened?
Punched it in and it accepted, but he may not be using the same clearinghouse that these other people are.
Well, that I can't help you with.
So how do I get to the clearinghouse and get their records?
I would go back to the bank and I'd go back to the bank that issued the card. Here's my problem. And then here are the two merchants. Would you please contact those merchants and then call me?
I have an appointment tomorrow morning with the branch manager.
Have that branch manager get on the phone in your presence and call those two merchants.
Okie doke. I guess I covered all the bases then.
Okay, kid.
Hey, I do have one other thing I'd like to tell you.
Only quickly, go ahead.
Real quickly. Something I never hear you mention.
What's that?
I was stonewalled one time by a manufacturer over a defective product, and finally my employer suggested that I use the magic words product liability. 5-minute phone call and I had my check.
Okay. I wish you well. Get that job done at the bank tomorrow. Hey, that kind of winds this little segment up. Mr. Brennan, thank you very much for your good offices. And, of course, Mr. Thompson.
About 7 weeks straight when my father had cancer and passed away.
I think the answer has to be equally.
Yeah,
the fact that you're not there one day, the other, are these three unrelated folks?
Yes, 2. Total of 3.
Well, I mean, you are all not related to each other.
No, we're not.
This isn't husband and wife and a brother or something. This is just 3 roomies.
Correct.
I think you have to, with the exception of the telephone, which can be tracked. Yeah, with the exception of that. The other utilities, it seems to me, are a 3-way split, whether you're there or whether you're not.
You do?
Well, sure, because, I mean, they didn't ask you to leave for 7 weeks. I mean, I'm sorry about your personal difficulties, but they didn't ask for that. They don't ask you to travel.
I see. So if I have to travel for my work, I still should pay for it?
Well, sure. If you had, let's assume that you had your own home by yourself. Your own home by yourself.
Uh-huh. You have to pay all the bills even though you weren't there.
Okay, so, but the utilities being based on use and how much I use them still wouldn't make any difference?
Not in my eyes, because we're back to the same thing again. If you were there or whether you're not there, you guys are sharing a room because you were trying to cut expenses. All right. Well, suppose two of you go away. Then is the third guy going to say, I can't afford air conditioning because after all, that's silly. I think you just cut them three ways, whether you're there or whether you're not. I don't think it makes a bit of difference.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
You didn't like that answer, did you?
No, I didn't like
well, what would you suggest?
Well, I would want to pay a base amount, whatever it costs to run the refrigerator and heat the pool and the water heater, and then pay a third of the utilities for the days that I'm there above that base amount.
First of all, the bookkeeping would drive you crazy.
It'd be hard.
And secondly, it's not really reasonable.
Okay.
Really isn't.
Okay.
I wish you well, hon.
Thanks.
I'm Bruce Williams. Lost another one. This is Talknet. Pittsburgh, PA. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. Nice talking to you. I'm glad you could take my call.
It's a joy.
I have a big problem, and I hear you're the man with all the answers, and I hope you can help me out.
Where did you hear that rumor?
I've been listening to you on the radio so much, and you seem to have all the answers all the time.
Oh, I'm pleased that you called. What can I do for you?
In 1980, we had about a $50,000 addition put on our home, which included new windows throughout and a new roof. We never had a problem with the roof. We put on a new roof so we wouldn't have any problems because the old roof had been around 25 years old. Now, the last 2 years, the roof has leaked in about 3 places now.
This is the one that you had put on?
Yes, the brand new roof over the entire home.
And how many years ago was that?
1980.
9 years ago.
Yes.
Okay. Was there a guarantee on the roof?
The shingles were guaranteed 25 years.
That's the material.
Yes.
How about the labor?
The roof, the contractor did everything.
But did he guarantee his labor as well?
In the contract that we signed, a lawyer that we went to said that there was 1 year guarantee on any defects in workmanship.
All right, so though clearly that's not an issue now.
Apparently not.
Well, 9 years later?
Well, it has been leaking for about 2 years.
Well, that's 7 years.
Yes, and he comes back and tries to repair it, but he's never able to solve it, never able to find the problem. And it's so bad that where the new addition meets the old, it's going all the way down to the concrete block in the basement, in the crawl space.
And they can't find the problem.
It's coming through a light switch.
Have you called somebody else?
Yes, I called our building inspector, and he said that the roof was not flashed properly. Then I've called roofers in because we think we need to get a new roof. And the roofers said that the condensation has occurred in the attics, causing the wood to rot.
Sure.
We had, the contractor also had insulation blown in, and I believe the blown insulation covered the vents that were, from the soffit.
Yeah.
And I think they covered those vents, and so that prohibited air coming through.
Yeah, but that would cut down on or stop the air circulation, but that wouldn't cause the leak. What you're saying was if the air was circulating, then the damage would be to some extent offset by the air circulating and the moisture drying out. But the moisture shouldn't be there to begin with.
Well, when we got up into the crawl space just about 2 months ago, we noticed that the wood is rotting through.
It will, very definitely, no question. You get a leaky roof, and the water it's probably plywood up there.
Yes.
And that water has nowhere to go. You don't have circulation to carry it off. It's going to rot the bejeebers out of it. It also may attract insects. I'll give you another thrill.
Well, right now the skim coat in the living room is peeling. And
well, look, let's start with the premise, shall we? You got to correct the problem.
Yes.
And that may be ripping the roof off and starting again. You tell me the building inspector says the flashing is no good. Have you replaced the flashing?
He said it was not flashed properly when the roof was installed.
So let's start with a premise. Let's assume he is correct. I don't know that to be the case. Have you replaced the flashing?
No.
Well, why not?
Well, I'm trying to get back to the contractor to come out and see if he could determine what the problem is.
Well, but this guy has proven that he has a big difficulty with that since he's been out, you told me, numerous times and can't solve the problem.
So you're recommending that I get someone out to replace all the flashing?
Well, I would have someone come out who agrees with the building inspector that the flashing is the genesis of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have that corrected. Now, it may be, see, I don't know how badly the rotting is in that plywood, and maybe it's just beyond redemption, and then you got to go in from the top and take off the roof and put new plywood down.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do that from underneath. At least I don't know how you do it from underneath. If it's just a little bit of rot, you can cut the rot part away and either use some kind of a plastic material to build it back up again, or I guess conceivably you could cut a little piece of wood away and replace it, but certainly not a big sheet.
It's in 3 different places, though.
But how big a problem? But are we talking about little cancer or big cancer?
Oh, I think it's pretty big, maybe a foot in one place.
Well, that's not so big. And what else?
Well, it's 3 different places.
Well, if it's only a foot square, that could be cut away from the inside. I mean, it's not a real easy job, but it could be done and filled in with a plastic material or whatever. As to the ventilation, if you know you've got the problem, you can do one of 2 things: either clean out the vents, or it'd be a whole lot easier to put some new ones through. So you have the air would circulate up there. But that's not going to help you unless you correct the initial problem.
Well,
that's the intrusion of the water.
In the 15 years we had lived in the house previously, the wood, hadn't rotted or anything.
Well, I understand that. You didn't have water before. Now you got the water. See what happens without making this into a very complicated process, and I'm willing to be corrected. The water leaks in, and then it's trapped.
Yeah.
Now, ordinarily, you can have a certain amount of leakage, but you have circulation, and what happens when you have circulation? The water evaporates, doesn't it?
Yes.
And it dries out. But in this circumstance, you got 2 things going. One, water's coming in, and secondly, it has no place to go.
It's going down through the insulation.
Or it has no place to go harmlessly, I guess, the way I think that'd be a better way to put that. So for me, frankly, if you've tried everything else, I'd try replacing the flashing, see if that does it.
All right.
And if that does it, then you got to get rid of that old soggy insulation. Let it dry out up there. You may want to put a fan in, a temporary fan, to get the air really moving around in there, get it dried out good, and then be very nice to your husband for the next couple of days when he's up under there crawling around, chipping away or taking that little bit of rotted wood out, because rot will spread.
Yes.
And it also, as I said, the moisture can attract little creepy crawlies like carpenter ants and that sort of thing.
Oh, dear. Well, we want to work on that this summer and get everything taken care of. But
I would get to it.
Wanted to see what you had to say about it.
That's the route I'd follow.
Okay.
I wish you well.
I thank you very much.
I'm Bruce Williams. Yeah. This is Talknet. Rochester, NY. Hello there. Welcome to Talknet.
Hi, Bruce. I'm so pleased to get to talk to you.
Super. We have about 2 minutes to share together.
Okay. I'm looking at changing jobs. Right now, I'm currently a sales rep with non-food products, and I'm on the road constantly.
Calling on?
Pardon?
What kind of accounts do you call upon?
Convenience stores and some supermarkets.
All right.
I cover an area from Buffalo to Syracuse, so I put on about 1,000 miles a week.
It's pretty good-sized territory. What do you want to do?
It's a lot. I'm also doing a couple of part-time jobs, and one of those deals with the newspaper here. And I've been offered a position as a district manager in the circulation department for the newspaper.
What does that mean? Keeping track of route salesmen and so forth?
Right.
Boy, how much do you earn now?
Right now, last year, I earned a little over $18,000.
For driving 1,000 miles?
Right.
Wow.
And on top of that, last April, I had to buy my own vehicle, and I take care of my own expenses. So my expenses per year run about $3,600 just in gas and tolls.
They got to run higher than that.
That's just my gas and tolls, and I've gotten fairly good mileage on my truck.
Okay,
so
you're not doing so swell now. What's the new job? What's the new job going to do for you?
The district manager job would start out at a little over $19,000.
Yeah.
But that base right there, taking away all my expenses, because they do give you gas mileage, and it wouldn't be anywhere near as many miles.
No. But you have to fill in if somebody doesn't show up and so forth?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. What's your question now?
That would make it about a $5,000 increase for me.
At least.
And I'm trying to weigh the pros and cons.
What's the pro? On the job you have now, you're getting overworked and underpaid.
They've been good to me attitude-wise. They give
when
me
was the last time you went to the store and spent attitude?
Well, they give me a lot of input into what kind of sales we do and new products that we
How long have you been there?
Almost 2 years.
Oh, I think that they're taking a serious advantage of you.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
I wish you well, dear.
I appreciate being able to listen to you when I'm on that road.
I'm glad we can keep you company. Good luck with the new job.
Bye-bye.
Tomorrow between 2:30 and 6:30 Eastern Daylight Time, we're doing our thing. Yeah, we are. 800 Talknet. And I do hope you will participate, huh? All righty. Hey, it was fun. It was a good hour. You made it possible. Let's do it again soon. This is Bruce Williams for Talknet. Well, there are, numerically, a great many Americans still working in foreign nations, expatriates. They are that number has been reduced geometrically in the last few years.
Yeah.
That more and more countries prefer to train their own people, and it's understandable.
Oh, yeah.
If you were a physician, you'd have no well, even there in some countries you might have a problem. You have no physician, no problem. If you were a nuclear physicist, you'd probably have no difficulty.
Yeah.
Certain types of jobs in the petroleum industry, you have no problem. But whether or not there's a need for X-ray technicians is a whole different matter. I don't know the answer to that. But what you should be doing is talking to some of the some of the companies that do have their own people, that they get involved in the huge construction jobs and so forth.
Okay.
I doubt seriously if they're going to want you in first of all, I was going to say in a hospital setting somewhere else, that would treat the local people, unless you're doing it on a voluntary basis, and that's not what you're looking for.
No.
Do you have a part of the world in mind?
I was thinking New Zealand or Australia. I know places, some of the more hostile countries, they're looking for people, but I don't care to go there.
When you say hostile, what do you mean?
Like Saudi Arabia.
What's hostile? All right, I would have not picked Saudi Arabia as a hostile nation.
Well, compared to someplace like Australia.
Well, there are hostilities in the Middle East. I think that's a fair statement. I mean, witness the goings-on in Iran and some other Middle Eastern countries. And, certainly, Beirut is not exactly where I want to be working these days.
Yeah.
And I do believe you're correct when you say that immigration has been encouraged in both New Zealand and in Australia, but whether or not you're going to be able to find a job beforehand is something else. Now, you could certainly contact both the New Zealand consulate or a New Zealand Australian consulate. Maybe able to get some employment information as to practice. Would they allow you to work there? Is it possible to get a work permit? What's involved? And of course, you want to handle on what the wages are.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be disappointed. I mean, you've been reading all these stories about this big money overseas.
Yeah.
Well, that's just not happening, man.
All right. Is there a place you can get the numbers for those places?
Yeah, called information.
Call information.
Like, you want to get if worse comes to worse, call Washington, call the embassy of each of these nations.
Okay.
And they can refer you on.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Good luck, my friend.
Okay.
There's just the myth of Rick's Place and whatever, but that makes great 1940 movies. But unfortunately, and there are still a lot of people working overseas, but numerically that number has been reduced geometrically. Naples, Florida, hello.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi, how we doing?
Oh, pretty good. This is kind of a good news, bad news sort of thing here.
Yeah, the good news is we're 1.5 hours ahead of schedule. The bad news is we're lost. Yeah.
Something along those lines.
I got you.
Several weeks ago, we hit the Florida State Lottery.
You did?
Yeah.
How much did you bang them for? You're not the guy that got the 56 million, are you?
I wouldn't be talking to you if I was.
I'm sure you wouldn't even give me the time of day. I understand that.
No, I'd see you in person if I had that kind
How much did you bang?
All right, $5,234.
Well, that's not exactly chopped liver.
No, it's certainly worth watching them pull the little balls out of the machine for.
Indeed.
Of course, the bad news is it takes them 60 to 90 days to get the money to you.
How nice.
Now, I can understand some delay in that. They're going to check your taxes and so on.
Well, they don't have any obligation to check your taxes. All they do is just withhold, like, it's 20%.
Well, my thought was that maybe they're going to do some checking to make sure you don't have any liens or child support or that sort of thing. But why should it take so long?
That they may or may not do. I don't know. I can't answer that. But let's put it another way, okay? What is there in this transaction that makes this very important to them to get you paid right away.
Nothing at all. Of course, the money's going to grow while they're holding on to it. I understand that.
Although I said, though, but what is there in this transaction that really turns them on to paying you in a rush? And the answer is none. There isn't any. Nothing's not a zero.
Except maybe some adverse publicity.
How much adverse publicity can you give them?
Oh, I'm giving them some right now.
Yeah, well, not a hell of a lot. People who buy lottery tickets are a breed apart.
So you don't think it's a case of them checking to see if you owe back child support or?
If you want, they could use that as an excuse, all right. But you could run that information down in 10 days.
That was my thinking.
Of course you could. I just can't think that this is a very high priority item. Now there may be somebody in the lottery business that wants to respond, and we'll always let them do that. Fair enough?
Yeah, it would be interesting to see if they've got kind of a concrete reason.
Well, I would be interested.
Kind of usurious, all these jillions of dollars that they got floating around.
Jillions, that's a jillion. That's between 10 and 20 or something?
Yeah, that's up there.
Okay. Let's see if we can find out. I doubt it, but we'll see, okay?
Okay.
I do wish you well. Okay, you're in the lottery business. You work for, 21 states now have lotteries, something on that order? Super lotteries, super duper lotteries, and whatever. Is there some reason why it takes so long to get paid? Give us a call, 212-245-6040, 212-245-6040. Are there the conditions that you guys who run the lotteries have to meet before you can loosen up with a check? Let's hear about it. 212-245-6040. This is Bruce Williams. This is Talk. Okay, let's get back to the calls. All righty. On what line, Michael? We couldn't allow you to use your last name, but I'm delighted you called. What's on your mind?
Okay, in Washington, we pay within 24 hours.
This is Washington State, I guess.
No, Washington, D.C. I'm calling from.
You have a lottery in Washington, D.C.?
Oh, yes. We have an online and an instant lottery.
I didn't know that.
And with the online lottery, which I'm connected with...
Well, what is an online lottery?
The online is usually the computer-operated lottery, the lotto games, the games.
Oh, that's the ones where you go in and you buy tickets from somebody in a store, that kind of thing?
That's where you bet for numbers.
Okay.
As opposed to
like a pick 4, pick 5, that kind of thing?
Yes, as opposed to an instant lottery where you buy a pre-printed ticket and just scratch the foil covering off.
I understand. But you guys pay off in 24 hours, huh?
Yes.
Well, why do you think that? No, I don't want to beat on this other state because I don't. I'm just listening to a caller. Why do you suppose it took so long to get paid?
I really don't know. The caller, I think, had mentioned that they may check for back alimony or child support. Some states do that, so it shouldn't take that long.
I think that's a great idea to do that, by the way.
I know.
To check it, but why would it take that kind of time?
I don't know. Most states that I'm familiar with will pay within a few days. That's the maximum. In some locations, you make a claim at a claim office, which may be an agent or a retail store. Then that claim form has to go into the lottery headquarters.
Yeah.
And it's just the administrative time it takes. It shouldn't be over a few days, though.
Yeah, no matter how you slice it, 60 days is a long time.
60 days is a very long time.
Well, I'm delighted to hear that our nation's capital pays off quick.
We pride ourselves on that.
Thank you so very much for your call, my friend.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Well, let's say it's always a gamble to go to Washington. Let's face it. What's happened down now, that every other citizen has... No, that's not fair. But there have been a rather significant number of violent deaths down in Washington recently. Hey, WRJY in Rome, Georgia joins the Talknet team, and we're delighted to have him with us. The general manager is Fred Williams, so welcome WRJY in Rome, GA. New Brunswick, NJ. Hello.
Yeah, hi, Bruce. How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Listen to you all the time.
Thank you, sir.
Good. Bruce, question. I have a friend down the street who dragged me to a what he called a seminar the other evening to make some money.
Dragged you?
Yeah. Well, I really didn't want to go, but we went to a local hotel here, and there was a gentleman there who gave a little speech on life insurance and life insurance sales.
I think the word is pitch.
Pitch, okay. And what his pitch was that on a part-time basis you could make $20,000 to $30,000 a year writing term life insurance.
I know the company you're describing, so I want you to be a little careful because so many other people know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
There's one company that is marketing term insurance, which I happen to agree with, through a multi-level marketing program, which I don't share a great deal of enthusiasm over.
Well, that was the whole idea of it. He mentioned that you could get into management very quickly and be making $100,000 a year.
Instantly, sure.
Okay. And as he went on in the conversation, we talked, but he showed a film clip, and it was all very interesting. But what happened was that he passed out some literature. And in the literature, you have to sign a waiver.
What is the waiver?
Well, the waiver says that any time they can cancel your contract and not pay you any commissions due.
Without any
no cause.
Provocation on your part,
Correct.
No cause? Isn't that interesting? When you asked about that, what was said? What did they say? What was their rejoinder?
Well, he just said, well, look, what you'd have to do is get into it. And he said that's all taken care of. They never do that. Don't worry about it.
You know, when somebody says to me, don't worry, you know what I do? I worry.
That's what.
As soon as somebody says, don't worry, I worry a whole lot.
Right.
And if they say, well, it doesn't mean anything, what your next question has to be, well, if it means nothing, why don't you take it out of there?
Yeah. Well, then the second thing that happened was that he said that he would pay for all of the schooling and licenses.
Well, that's not unusual.
Okay.
That's not unusual. If you decided to go to work for any one of 100 insurance companies, life insurance companies, they would set you up in a program to get licensed in your state. That in itself is no big thing.
Okay.
Same thing is true in real estate, by the way.
Well, then the next thing that he asked for was a check made out to the company
For
licensing fees and schooling. And he said, I'll reimburse you that. He said, but we have to have this up front just to show that you're interested in the program.
To demonstrate your earnestness.
Yeah.
That you're serious, that you're not a trifler.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So, well, I went through that scenario, and like I said, it was a very high-pressure situation. The other thing was that while we were there, he tried to
sell you some insurance.
Exactly. So what I did was I took the literature, and last Friday I did call the company that I was with. I have some life insurance with the company,
right.
What I would consider one of the major companies. And, of course, when I told them what I was interested in, immediately they said, oh, these guys are a bunch of shysters. He says they're in the replacement business.
Well, that's not necessarily true. And it really doesn't enhance their standing knocking the competition. Let's start with that. And a lot of guys are getting upset because they're having whole life, which they get residuals on, or servicing fees canceled in favor of term. And I'm not sure I agree with that either.
Well,
but the point is, I had the basic product, term insurance, I have no quarrel with. I believe in term insurance.
Right.
But
well, that's what I have. I have term with this other major company.
I am not enthusiastic over multi-level marketing. With this emphasis on recruiting as contrast to it, getting out there and peddling.
Yeah, well, he claims that they have over 35,000 agents.
I think that's probably true.
They're all very successful.
That's not true.
Well,
that's simply not true.
Yeah.
I mean, there are now. If you said, are there some successful agents? Oh, the answer is so. I made a ton.
Well, my real question is this, Bruce, is that on a part-time basis, is this, I would think that, to really know what you were talking about and really get into this thing, that you would have to be a full-time person.
I'm not sure if that's true. Depends upon how quick you are, how much you can absorb and whatever. I mean, I don't think you can make blanket statements in order to be an insurance agent or in order to be a real estate person or whatever.
Right.
The only guy I get nervous with was one of the people would be a brain surgeon. I don't want airplane pilots flying part-time. I mean, these are jobs that I think you ought to be a full-timer.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why one could not sell insurance on a part-time basis if you were willing to devote the effort and time to keep yourself current with what's going on and so forth. I don't think this. But again, in this instance, I think the only place I part company is the merchandising methods, where there's so much emphasis placed upon getting other people to sell. You would be spending as much time finding other guys to sell insurance as you would selling insurance.
That's exactly what he said. Every sale is a prospective agent.
Well, so I don't agree with that. That's where we part company, and that's the end of that.
So, at any rate, I have decided not to do that.
Okay.
But
listen, you got yourself a little bit of education.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't cost you any money.
Yeah.
And sooner or later, you go to enough of these things, and who knows, you may find yourself in a position where you really find something that's money from home. Sorry. If you call somebody in Florida, not back to New Jersey, interstate is not so bad. Aside from that, I can't think of anything that's not less expensive. Some things are automobiles are about the same, gasoline about the same, maybe a little more expensive. But everything, you can go out, your restaurant meals you're going to find are shockingly less.
Yeah.
Housing will be a great deal less. Utilities, for the most part, are a great deal less.
Yeah. I have a house up here right now. It gets much more expensive every month. Right now I'm paying about $1,300 in property tax. And it looks like the property taxes are down there cheaper, but one thing that I want to know, is that including the school tax when they give you those figures usually?
Well, first of all, there's no income tax.
Yeah.
Well, that itself is a wash.
Yeah.
No, it's a lot cheaper. I'm not going to pick on every... trust me. It's about half as expensive to live in a house there as it is where you are now.
I'm carrying about a $50,000 mortgage up here.
How much is the house worth?
I figure I could bring down there about $35,000.
You'll have no trouble in finding a good home. None whatever.
How about in the 55 to 65 range?
That may be tough.
Yeah. Okay. See, because I really wanted to improve, because my wife had to go back to work this year, and things are just, I'd like to improve it where we could, she could stay home again, and this and that.
Well, you're not going to buy a house, in my opinion, for $50,000 or $55,000 that you're going to be comfortable with.
Yeah.
But you will find that your dollar goes far. What else to tell you? It's cheaper to live there. What else? You're in a high rent district right now.
Yeah.
Good luck, my friend.
All right. Thank you.
Enjoy. Arlington, Texas. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
Hi. I have a problem or a situation right now where I'm going to be selling my car. And the problem is it's been in an accident, and it's a collector type of car, and I'm just wondering what is my responsibility in mentioning this to any prospective buyer?
When you say collector, what do you got?
It's an 85 Celica convertible.
What makes that a collector?
Well, I've been told that there's just 3,000 made, and
maybe so.
and most of them are in Southern California, so it's kind of a hot item.
Well, in that case.
And okay, so then the one thing is the major thing is that there's been an accident.
Yeah, how bad?
Well, it was like $8,000 to.
It was a pretty good hit then, huh?
It was a pretty good hit, yeah.
Anybody who examines it even reasonably well is going to tell it's been an accident.
Okay.
Pretty hard to cover. Pretty hard to hide that kind of damage. Well, there's a little sloppiness in painting it when it's repainted and so forth. Pretty hard. Not impossible, but pretty hard. Do you have to disclose it? I don't know the answer to that. I really don't know. If somebody asks, you certainly must tell them. You can't lie.
All right. What about, I heard something that sometimes insurance will pay for any devaluation that occurs due to the accident. Have you heard anything about that?
That can be part of a settlement, but the settlement's over, isn't it? Or is still...
No, the settlement is over, but...
Well, then it's done. You can't go back and bite the apple a second time.
Even if you were unaware that...
too bad, Charlie. You signed you took the money, didn't you?
Yeah.
Signed the release.
Uh-huh.
It's roll call time's over.
Okay. But have you heard something about that?
Yes, you can include that into it. When you're sitting down to settle, you have to understand, there's no ironclad rules. Start with that premise, okay?
Okay.
Nobody said you had to take the money from the insurance company.
What are my options?
Go to court. Get more if you can.
Huh.
Or get less.
What court?
Well, for $8,000, you're going to be in whatever is analogous in Texas to a superior court.